Broadcasting across the internet, this is an Unshackled livestream, brought to you by the Unshackled.net. Now, here's the Unshackled team.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Unshackled's Victorian election night live stream. We are finally live. Apologies for being late, but this is a new studio setup here. So we've got everything organised now, and first off, let me introduce my panel. We have Magnus O'Malley here from the Australian Freedom of Speech Movement.
How are you all?
And we also have YouTuber Dia Beltran and YouTuber, Facebooker and whatever else, Logan Spalding.
Troll?
Hello, how you going?
Okay, so where shall we start? The polls have closed in Victoria, so why don't we talk about where Victoria's at the moment. So yeah, we've had 4 years of Daniel Andrews' Labor government. What have you noticed that's changed over the past 4 years, Magnus?
Well, there's a lot that's changed, I reckon. First of all, like on the social front, I think that a lot of values which were previously fringe, I think on the left, have become steadily more mainstream. I think Daniel Andrews is behind that. I think there are several other things that have become. I think perhaps Daniel Andrews has made infrastructure like a very big problem. A very big issue for this election. I think that's the focus that he wanted to have. And Matthew Guy has followed along with that. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of what else has happened to Victoria as such, I think that the population issue is starting to bite, I think, with a lot of people. At least Matthew Guy, you know, is pushing this as a big issue. And so people are maybe seeing or speaking about that which they were seeing before but were not speaking about. So yeah, there's a few things. I mean, I think if you want, you know, my personal take on it, from like, is it good or bad? Like, I mean, well, everything's horrible, but you know, there's still fun to be had here and there.
Yeah, 4 years, it's a long election cycle, and yeah, I would agree a lot's changed in these 4 years. Dia and Logan, you're social commentators, so obviously the issues of the African crime, the Antifa running wild, and plus safe schools, they're of most concern to you.
Definitely. Well, look, what I've noticed is when it comes to Daniel Andrews' take on dealing with the crime epidemic here in Victoria, we'll literally ask Andrews, hey, you know, what are you doing about the crime wave? And then he'll be like, look, I'll get to the issue later, but have a look at this new train line I've built. It's like, Andrews, no one cares about your stupid train line. Everyone's out there being attacked, and all you care about is giving us a new train to be attacked on. So nothing, like, crime has just gone up since Andrews has been the Premier of Victoria. So I've got nothing more to say about this Mr. Bean-looking character.
Yeah, I would agree that the state of Victoria it's got some good things in the works. The whole transportation thing is a good thing, but it wouldn't need to be in the works if we didn't hit 5 million. We're at capacity. The Safe Schools program is an issue to me. I have a niece, I have a nephew. I don't want children learning and being sexualized. And the whole Apex thing, I mean, how many times can you say the same thing and can you follow a pattern of behavior until someone says, okay, enough is enough? And voting for Dan Andrews is that, but he will be voted in. Like, it's a lefty state, so but it's okay.
But sorry, Jim. It wasn't always a lefty state. I think that's what's interesting. That's another thing that's changed, is that Victoria has now cemented this reputation as being the most progressive state. I don't like using that word. Most left state in Australia. And I think that's very interesting, like the emergence also of the Greens in like the inner city as like a major, you know, rival force and everything, because that didn't always used to be the case. In fact, we were a pretty strong Liberal state. So what's driving that, I think, is interesting. I think that's a whole lot of things. I think that's, you know, partly just the fact that, you know, we are the second biggest city, you know, and so I think and the arts centre, you know, I mean the arts capital of Melbourne. So we have a lot of things that sort of draw young people and draw, you know, bigger populations, and those young people sort of bring new values. But yeah, and you know, also, you know, potentially the immigration issue comes into it. You know, you have people that maybe vote differently to the traditional conservative voters. But yeah, I think that is an interesting thing. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about what's causing that, but
Yeah, I mean, Victoria used to be what termed the jewel in the Liberal crown, 1955 to 1982 continuous Liberal government, but now we're viewed as the most progressive state, or should I say regressive, where the Labor Party has won 8 out of the last 11 elections, and Daniel Andrews, he's a proud progressive premier.
Yeah, we're honestly the equivalent of America's California.
To play devil's advocate, Australia, Melbourne has been voted, according to certain reputable sites, as the most livable city in the last 5 years. So, is Labor doing something good? Like, can we ask that question? And does anyone have an answer to that?
I would say we're the most stabbable city, actually.
Stable?
Stabbable.
Oh.
Now, as I mentioned, the polls have closed. We had a number of late opinion polls, which I'll just bring up now. So if we have a look, what we're doing, if I'm able to bring up on the split screen. No, that's not it. Sorry, that's ABC. So I'm not sure if you can all see that, but that's the most recent polling. If we go up here, so last poll, there was a Roy Morgan poll, ALP 54.46. There was a news poll, ALP 53.5 to 46.5. There was a Reach Shell poll, which was 54 to 46, and then we had a YouGov Galaxy poll, which was 53.47. So everything's pointing to a comfortable win for the Labor Party to get re-elected. We are getting some live results. So while I get those up, does anyone else have anything to add? Chef.
I would just like
Yep.
to...
Sorry, extra noise there. Yep, you go,
Was that
Logan.
extra noise? I would just like to add that I would actually hope that it'd be more like a Trump-style victory for the Liberal Party, where
That's a hope that won't.
no one thinks that the Liberals will win, but then out of nowhere, it's like Matthew Guy just parachutes into Melbourne, and it's just like, I'm taking over this place and we're going to do something, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That would be pretty awesome.
The opposition leader, Matthew Guy, he's been unable to cut through with the electorate despite all the scandals and mismanagement under Daniel Andrews, such as the red shirts scandal, the ripping up of the East-West link, $1 billion not to build a road, and there's also been transport projects which have been over budget, over time, and we've mentioned the crime and safe schools. I'm probably forgetting a whole bunch of other scandals, but Liberals, even though they've gone tough on law and order and also making sure that infrastructure is efficient, they're just still not cutting through.
But sorry, Tim, I think that Matthew Guy's run a fairly solid campaign. I think it's been fairly solid. I mean, I can't say it's been brilliant. He's certainly steering pretty clear of the social issues, I think, because he wants to play it safe. But the thing is about the crime issue, I think that there's a mistake there, because unless you've sort of crime doesn't necessarily affect everyone, so I mean, certain people are attacked, and certain people that live in areas prone to attack might feel an extra sense of fear, but really it's not something that is going to affect everyone, whereas something like the tax issue, and I think it would have been great to sort of push a little bit more, because that affects everyone. Everyone's paying taxes, obviously. Everyone's under the obligation to supposedly pay taxes, but I think that might have been a better way to do it, but instead, crime, it sort of has that, again, it doesn't really affect everyone. It also has that sort of, that aura of just being that typical sort of right-wing thing that's trumpeted out, but, is just really a scare campaign. So I'm not sure if it's really been bought by the public, even though, we have had an increase in the crime rate, although that's, complex. Exactly what exactly are we looking at? Because, people consistently think that crime is going up when, often it's not the case. So, so what sort of crime exactly is going up, and what are the causes of that?
Well, terrorism.
Yeah, but I mean, terrorism, there's sparse
Like that
incidents.
wasn't much of an issue, say, 20 years ago.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yes.
I think that's got broader dimensions than simply a crime issue. Like, I mean, there's not so much, law and ordering that can be done to stop someone simply from swerving a van into a crowd of people on Burke Street or whatever. I just don't. I'm not. I mean, I know that Matthew Guy's got his proposals, but look, I just don't think that it's I don't think that the public have fully bought it, to be honest.
Fair enough. Is Matthew Guy
Maybe
a
I'm
strong
projecting.
enough candidate, though? Because he has spent millions of dollars on obscure projects.
I don't think anyone's a strong enough candidate.
Yeah.
And now, I just want to tell our live viewers that we are reading the comments. A few of you were complaining about the volume. I've worked my magic here, and a few of you have said that it's better now. So hopefully that fixes it. But if we're not doing something right on this live stream, feel free just to post a crass comment. We don't mind. We're not offended or triggered.
Just abuse us.
Hashtag political correctness.
Hashtag trolling.
Okay.
Say what it is.
Keep your silliness to yourselves.
Fair enough.
Right, we'll just have our own show. So, dear, how you going then?
Okay, so I might bring up now where the election will be won, will be decided. Now, I've just got to bring up. Sorry, I've just got a humorous message. Okay, if I just bring up... No, that's not it. Okay, there we go. So this is the map of Melbourne. So as you can see, the western suburbs and north of Melbourne are red.
So what's that green slime right there in the middle there?
Green slime.
Those are the independent states.
Yeah, it's the greening of Melbourne is slowly spreading out. It's like a disease, a green disease.
What's the disease called?
It's called a fungus.
Gang green.
So they're hoping to, the Greens this election are hoping to extend that sea of green slime there. But unfortunately, they've had a few slimy candidates this election. Well, their candidate for Footscray, he used to rap about date raping women, and then one was accused of actual rape, and he was stood down. So it hasn't been a good election for them.
Clearly not.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I mean, there was the story today in The Age, for example, that came out and said that votes for women, voting women voters for the Greens, had, the numbers have collapsed or something like that since October. They've gone down to half. I'm not sure if the sample size was big enough to really make a definitive comment on that, but certainly, I think that this has. I think it probably will hurt the Greens. I think that there are a few people that would be shaken by this, and it might not necessarily. It might not even have the greatest effect now, but I think that unless it's sort of addressed, it might go into the future as being something which stays with them and is brought up later on. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it just shows the Greens to be so unprincipled and so hypocritical, like that the Angus McAlpine story. What are they thinking by? I mean, I know the time passed before they could endorse another candidate, but surely it would have just been safer to get rid of him. They just must be that desperate, to keep him in the race.
Bottom of the barrel.
I think I still. We're still on the map of the page there, the audience.
Sorry, I was getting carried away.
Can't see us here. So as you can see, the east is where the blue most of the blue is. Now you can see the red in the southeast. That's actually the marginal seats, such as Bentley, Mordialloc, Carrum, Frankston, Cranbourne, Narre Warren South and Narre Warren North. That's where the election's going to be won there. If the Liberals can turn that blue, they will win.
Yeah.
Good to know.
These win.
I'll bring us back in. There we are.
Yay.
So far you're not complaining about the sound. Not complaining about the sound, so that's all good. We only pay attention if there's bad comments. Now, does anyone else? I'm just going to have an investigation of some of the results so far. Does anyone want to go on a rant?
I'll just
The
speak
floor
about.
is yours.
Thanks, I'll take it. But I just want to relate a personal experience today when it went to the polling booth. I already told you about
Yes,
this.
you did tell me about
And
it. It was
anyways,
funny.
I was walking up to the polling booth and some Labor person tried handing me the how to vote piece of crap, and I'm literally like to them, look, just
Where are you aligned? I can't see. You're such an enigmatic figure.
but they tried to hand me this this piece of skata, and anyways, when they done that, I'm literally like to them, just do something about the crime rate and I'll think about it. And they're like, well, if I had a magic wand, I would do something. I'm like, yeah, the magic wand is called deportation. And then, anyways, walked on, grabbed something from the Liberals, and then next thing the Greens tried handing me something. And I went to get it first, and then I jumped back, and I'm like, oh, no, that's like poison. And then the Greens person's literally sitting there like, what? And I'm like, of course you wouldn't get it. So then I walked up into... Why do you have to do that?
Funny.
I walked up into the school, right? And then at that point, another Labor person came up to me to try and give me their piece of crap. And I'm like, no, you're like poison too. And I just walked off, and I was surprised there was no bloody explosions behind me as I left. But...
You called them poison?
Well, they are, aren't they?
Yeah, I just can't believe you said that.
Not that it trigger you?
It's very triggering. That's called trolling. That's mean.
I've finally found some discernible results now. Now, if you want to have us to look in a particular seat, then please let us know in the comments. This is your show as well. So the first seat we're going to bring up is that of Buninyong, which is in Ballarat. So if I just... There we are there. So as we can see, the Liberal primary vote, well, it's only a couple of hundred votes counted, but good start by the Liberal Party. They're 62% of the primary vote, and Labor is on 29%. The Greens are on 3%. We've got our friend of the Unshackled, Diane Colbert, running as an independent there. She's only got 1 vote so far, so that's a bit disappointing. I know that she's been there at the polling booth every day of early voting, so hopefully, Diane, you can get a few more votes.
Come back in.
So we tend to get all the rural seats first, just because their booths are smaller, so it throws up some distorted results.
Yeah.
They're what, smaller?
The rural booths, like they only have to count 50 votes.
I thought you said their boobs are smaller. I'm like,
Oh,
We're hitting the big issues here.
Tim is regretting having you on.
no, you're adding colour to this because you
Is
all
that 'cause
say
I'm
that
part Aboriginal?
I'm really serious, and so
No, I think you're pretty funny. You make me laugh.
Magnus, you're a pretty straight up and down person as well.
Was that I'm bipolar? Is that what you mean?
It just means that there's nothing there. You're vacant.
Oh, okay.
you're just a
Right.
shell.
Just an NPC, if you will, soulless individual. Yeah.
That meme really set them off.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
It was like it actually glitched their programming. That's why it set them off.
Yeah, and it's funny because I often find that people react the angriest when they know what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
And I think that.
So maybe they are robots.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if someone says something to you and you don't believe it, then you just go, well, that's stupid.
Maybe
But
the
of course-
Illuminati is true.
Pardon?
Maybe the Illuminati is true.
Well, that's a
I
turn
am
I did
from
not
the
expect. but-
Illuminati. I am a clone.
Turn the
Yeah.
freaking
I
frogs
don't know
gay.
how that sort of equates to being in the Illuminati.
I don't know. I'd expect you to do something more like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're gonna get killed. Anyways,
Yeah, so we're still just getting all of the rural booths at the moment, so there's not much interest in those because they're all safe Liberal and National seats. So we're probably going to be padding a bit more until we get some more concrete results. We've also got our monitor, audience monitor person down the back there. I won't name him, but hello there.
Hey George.
That's not his name, so.
No, that's part of the joke.
Ah.
That wasn't the whole joke.
But just in case somebody from Antifa was investigating this and found a George and thought that he was here.
Well, that'll just make it more funny. Some random George person's like, I don't even know you. Who are you?
So what else have I got in my notes here? Yeah, so as I was saying, it's won in the southeast this election, which is surprisingly that's where the Andrews government have done all the infrastructure projects and the level crossing removals along the Frankston and Pakenham and Cranbourne lines. We are based somewhere in the southeast here.
Yeah.
We're in Northgate. Northgate.
Oh god. I don't mind the Skyrail and all these railway projects and transport projects, but I think that could be timed a bit better. You know, because there's obviously a long list of priorities that should be set before transport issues. Namely, number one being the crime wave that has hit Melbourne ever since the Andrews government has been in power. And I knew it from the start. Something's going to go wrong as soon as Andrews gets in. And lo and behold, here we are, sitting in the United Socialist State of Victoria.
Well, it's called the People's Republic Socialist State of Victoria, and of course, we've all been engaged in street activism. Yeah.
Should I answer?
Yeah, take the call.
Like loud?
No, no.
Oh no. No,
yeah.
it's alright.
Sorry, I apologise on her behalf.
Yeah. As I was saying, we've all engaged in street activism, and we've seen the left, the Antifa campaign against racism and fascism. Whenever there's a slightly right-wing event.
Okay, off you go. It's incessant. I'll take your seat for now.
Yeah, like we've been to the Aussie Pride Flag March, the March for Men.
Yeah. You met me at the Australia Day one.
Yeah, the local left they protested. Oh, how could I forget the Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux protests? Them at Nigel Farage. The Andrews
Milo.
government they don't condemn any of it, and of course they give the police bill to the organisers, a form of victim blaming.
Sorry, a big one being Milo. Getting hit with a massive fine or bill.
Okay.
Serious? I thought we were sitting down again, dear.
Yeah. You take Dia's chair there.
Huh.
Yeah.
You lost your chair, dear.
There's certain people who are trying to sabotage this live stream.
Going back to the
Damn you!
the politicization, the potential politicization of the police. Look, and you know, Antifa and all of that. I mean, that's something that maybe Matthew Guy could have picked up on, but again, it has that sort of, you know, this is the risky sort of cultural battlefront. You know, if he really wants to stop crime, then why isn't he going after, you know, one of the most impressive network of street gangs currently in the Western world, including here in Melbourne? But again, I think, you know, Matthew Guy, you know, he's got that baby-faced approach. He's trying to, you know, and he does have a, you know, a nice face. It's like a baby face, which I think is important. But he's going with that approach rather than taking, you know, on the risky social issues. So yeah, look, I mean, I think he's run a pretty status quo election, and that's the thing. I just don't think that a status quo election will win it for him.
Yeah.
He needs something more than that, and unfortunately, you know, Well, again, I say unfortunately, but my faith in the Liberals was shattered a long time ago. So
Look,
Yeah.
my opinion would be that anyone that's not the Greens or the Victorian Socialists is better than Daniel Andrews at this point in time. Like, I would literally rather vote for Harambe than vote for Daniel Andrews.
Okay, we've just got what do they call it at CNN? A key race alert, but we've got an interesting
silly.
seat alert. The seat of Yan Yan in the north. Now,
Yan
this, how is it pronounced?
Yan Yan.
Yan Yan. Yeah, well, you're originally from the north, so I'll go by your pronunciation. Now, this
Northern accent, bruh.
now this seat was significant because the Liberal candidate was disendorsed at the last minute, Marilyn Klein, because she appeared in an interview with Avi Yemeni of the Australian Liberty Alliance, which was about her being a victim of crime, but Avi Yemeni used it to promote, well, his party and also his proposal for a Muslim ban. Now, it's the only seat that the Australian Liberty Alliance were running in the lower house, and they've actually done quite well. They've got 5.38% of the primary vote. Well, it's 7 votes counted, but as you can see there, the Labor Party already on 50% of the primary vote. Marilyn Klein, she's an independent now, she's 22%. So that seat there, it's looking like that Labor is going to retain that, and there's not going to be Marilyn Klein's not going to be a Stephen Bradbury win. Well, that's actually how Pauline Hanson first got into the parliament. She was a Liberal candidate in 1996 for the seat of Oxley. She got disendorsed, but it was too late to get rid of her on the ballot paper.
She was right about everything.
Yeah, but because it was a landslide victory for the coalition, she won the seat as a Liberal, even though she'd been disendorsed. And so, yeah, interesting. Pauline Hanson, she just sort of got elected by accident, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
How's your phone call, dear?
Good. Yeah.
So we are getting some preliminary.
They were not happy that they were not allowed to speak.
Well, tell them they can come here.
I did. They're too far away.
Okay.
But they want you to read their comments.
Yeah. I'm reading the comments. We should all
You
be
didn't read
reading.
that particular person's one.
He feels betrayed.
Yeah.
I think so.
Anyway, I've also had a comment that you two need to be more serious. So.
Okay.
From who?
Well, we won't listen to them, will we?
Okay, so I'll check what others. We're still getting only results from rural booths.
They're dead.
Still very.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I'm being interrupted by a call.
The same call that I had.
We are getting the seat of Ripon, which is a marginal seat just outside of Ballarat. If I go to. So as we can see there, the Liberal comfortably ahead, 55% of the primary vote. Louise Staley is the defending member against Labor Party, which is 26.79. Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party, they're doing well. Their candidate Peter Farber, 8.33%. Darren Hinch's Justice Party, they are a minor party running in this election, 3.55%. Let's talk about the minor parties. Why we're
what does Darren Hinch? What does that party even? What is that promoting?
Darren Hinch is known for his stance against pedophiles. So he wants a national register of sex offenders, but he's also very social justice-y as well. Like he's for animal rights. He's also for LGBT rights. And let's not remember, Darren Hinch was quite triggered by Fraser Anning's maiden speech, said he wanted to wash his hand.
Little pussy.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's a bit all over the shop. He tries to be sort of... I wouldn't say he's a populist. No, nothing like Trump. How dare you?
No, I mean, he thinks I don't know. I'm probably wrong. Yeah, he's up and down, isn't he? He's sort of. It's hard to gauge what he actually is about.
Yeah, well. So I've got a bit of. So,
yeah,
okay.
just go.
I'm sorry, everyone.
What is sort of and the Palmer United Party that's also still running? Like,
No, it's not registered in Victoria yet. Well, they've only just relaunched,
right?
As the United Australia Party. If you watch the normal TV, there's a Palmer United ad every ad break, and in fact, if you watch YouTube, then before you watch your videos, there'll be a Palmer United act.
If you wanted a Trump-like figure, that could have been one of them. But
Actually,
he would have probably been more of that had he sort of gone into Liberals rather than started his own party, of course. But yeah.
And the other parties that minor parties that are contesting, there's the Liberal Democrats, the Libertarian Party.
They'll
Here.
do well.
Yeah, Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party and the Reason Party, formerly Sex Party, they're defending their upper house seats, because I should explain that Victoria still does group voting tickets, which means that minor parties are able to preference each other, so they've got a better chance of being elected. And so the quota is 16.67%. So that means that minor parties, they need to get more than 16.77% together for one of them to have a hope of being elected. Now, this is different from the Senate voting system where they changed it so you only voted 1 to 6 above the line, which cut out what they call preference harvesting, preference whispering. But Victoria still minor parties. That's why it's being so closely fought.
Very detailed knowledge there. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what I think of the voting system. I think that the optional preferential voting is like the hair clerk system in Tasmania is probably the best way to go if we're going to have it at all. But look, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, the current system both can favour incumbency and can go against incumbency in many respects. So, look, I don't know. I just think it's I can barely understand the whole thing myself, to be honest. It's a bit complicated. Yeah, but look, I mean, if these minor parties do come in, I don't see the to be honest, I don't really see the big I don't think they cause a lot of devastation necessarily. Like, it depends on who they are, but the motoring enthusiast party, what's that going to do?
I've heard from many of the general public saying all these minor parties are pointless. It would be better if it was just one whole government and just do it something for 4 years, because everything is more convoluted the way it is. What would you say to that particular statement?
Well, we don't actually have the party system grew sort of by convention, if you will. It wasn't written into the Constitution at all. And so, in a way, the party system was created as a matter of just the routine voting. And so even if you had just one party, it would be so unstable to have just simply everyone has to vote the one way that it would probably end up being a party system in many respects by voting behind in caucus. So eventually the voting that would have been done in Parliament would be replicated in caucus. So, yeah.
And I was in the middle of the list of the minor parties. So we have, as I mentioned, the Liberal Democrats, Reason, the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party, the Australian Liberty Alliance. Their star candidate is Avi Yemeni.
Avi Yemeni is now the premier, according to Neil Erickson. Okay.
Well, we won't get any upper house results until later on. So I know that Avi has been doing videos from the polling place every day, getting stuck into the other candidates. But
it's really cute to see a first timer doing that.
So, but all will be revealed here is whether all that's paid off later on in the evening. We sadly won't get the upper house results until later on because they're just so complicated to
we won't get the best results till later on either, will we?
And there's also the Victorian Socialists. The Socialists are making a comeback here. Stephen
Yeah, let's
Jolly,
hope that doesn't go
Yarra,
down.
Yarra City Councillor. He's running in North Metro. He's trying to knock off Fiona Patten of the Reason Party. Well, they're both trying to beat also the Liberal second candidate there, who is Evan Maholahan, who's I know him as a young Liberal from university. So he's been out there every day campaigning, hoping to. It's going to be hard to get that second seat in North Metro because it is inner city plus working class Labor in the northern suburbs.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone have any thoughts or opinions on the ALA?
Well, anyone on this panel?
Yeah.
Um,
Just for a diversion conversation.
yeah. Well, look, I don't know. I didn't vote for them. I just don't see.
I didn't ask that, but thanks for the info.
I don't know. I'm just. I mean, but because I don't see, really. I mean, I didn't look at their policy page. I'll give you that, but it's just. I don't know where exactly would Avi stand apart from on the Muslim issue, and I disagree with him on that even. So, yeah. Sorry.
What about you?
So the other, I'll talk about Australian Liberty Alliance. Well, they are
Sure.
they had a big go at the last federal election. They had a lot of star candidates in Kirley Smith, Bernard,
She's good.
Gaynor. So big conservative personalities, but they polled really only 1 or 2% that I recall. And they were in talks to merge with Cory Bernardi's Australian Conservatives, but they couldn't come to an agreement. Avi Yemeni was with Australian Conservatives for a while, but went over to the Australian Liberty Alliance. They wouldn't have got registered in the
It's a
state
lot
of
of jumping, isn't
Victoria.
it?
Sorry?
It's a lot of jumping around.
Well,
Somewhat.
yeah, people move parties all
Yeah.
the time. I'm used to it, but yeah, they wouldn't have got registered for this election without Avi's star power. Yeah, so he's been their new star candidate. They're hoping that this will reboot their party, but as I said, we'll find out later on. It is a single issue party. It's mainly just anti-Islam. There's not much else about them.
I've noticed that myself. I think the party itself, the people within are well intentioned. They're great people, but have the videos that have been pumped out of late helped them or derailed them?
Are you talking about Avi at the polling booth?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think that's an interesting question to ask. I'm not expressing any negativity towards him. I'm just posing a question.
Well, I know that plays to the base well, like, oh yeah, you let those Labor and Greenie cowards have it, but you're actually not allowed to intimidate people at a polling booth, like it's against electoral law. So, yeah, I think that's the main issue with that.
It doesn't look good.
And we've also got the Democratic Labor Party. They're another minor party. They did have an MP elected in the upper house last election, Dr. Rachel Carling-Jenkins. Our a sound person looked like he was about to do something really, really bad.
Doesn't like what we're saying.
George!
He looked like he was about to pull the cord out. That's why I paused there for a moment.
I was just like, what is going on now? Please don't.
Antifa.
Yeah.
They've infiltrated.
Cover.
Anti-fascist.
Oh, there's heaps of
The
ways that
anti-fascist
this broadcast could go down. The cord could be pulled out. Somebody could just yank the internet cord out as well.
Someone
could
could
just get
call.
shot. I don't know. Like,
Someone can keep calling continuously after being declined several times.
someone
Put
could
your
say
phone
I'm
on airplane mode.
Yeah.
Someone could say I'm deplatforming or censoring them.
Yeah, so Democratic Labor Party, Rachel Carling-Jenkins was their MP. Then she went with Australian Conservatives. Then she went independent. Now she's running as an independent for the seat of Werribee, which we should check. Democratic Labor Party, they've been around for 63 years now. They were formed from a split of the Labor Party from.
Oh, is this the Khrushchev affair? This is the Khrushchev split.
Yeah, it's when there was. Yeah, it's when there was. worrying about communists in the Labour Party, and who was the leader at the time? It was Herbert Vere Everett. He accused the Catholic faction of undermining the Labour Party, and so they split and formed the Democratic Labour Party, which preferenced the Liberals, which helped keep the Labour Party out of office in Australia until 1972 at a federal level, and out of office in Victoria until 1982, because they were always the biggest in Victoria. Now, yeah, as I mentioned, they're a Catholic party, Dia. We know that your views on Catholic, but they are the most socially conservative party, so...
I have no issues with Catholic people or Catholicism at large. I have an issue with the institution and the corruptness of the Church and the Vatican. But yeah, if someone has socialist, I could vote for someone and they be a complete atheist, but their thoughts and opinions completely align with mine politically, I would vote for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't base a vote purely on a word that you don't like.
I guess what you're saying is a separation of church and state, in a way.
Yeah, there's a level of that,
Yeah.
like, and yeah, I would vote for the Catholic Party if there was such a thing, like, at large in a federal level that agreed with
Make
everything.
sure you guys are speaking into the microphone.
Can
Okay.
everyone hear us?
Yeah.
Can I go back to something that was raised before about
Yep.
Stephen Jolliet? Because I find it interesting that we actually have the Victorian Socialists, and what is exactly his purpose for not, joining the Greens or something like that? That's what I find interesting. Like, why is it that he found himself so, dissimilar to the Greens? Is it just because it's just more overt, the socialism, and just more focus on the economic issues? Because, looking at their platform, it doesn't seem so unlike what the Greens would be promoting. I mean, it's not like and don't get me wrong, they're socialists, they're bad, but it's not like they're explicitly advocating the complete abolition of private property or anything like that. So,
But wouldn't it become that way? Isn't that usually the...
well, become that way the Greens.
Baby
I would've thought.
steps.
Like, I mean, I just don't see why.
Basically.
I mean, what is it exactly about them that is different to the Greens? I mean, I can imagine that they, similar associations, they associate with the same
I've
people.
had encounters with them at rallies.
The
and
socialists.
Yes,
Yeah.
socialists, Antifa, all those sorts of people, and they're quite aggressive in their manner. And if you read their pamphlets, they do sort of state those things in colourful language.
I would
So-
say Victorian socialists are like the more extreme version of the Greens, in a way. They're not trying to hide the fact that they are socialist.
Right.
And the Victorian Socialists, they got a few high-profile endorsements. Tom Ballard, the former host of the ABC alleged comedy program Nightly, he
Defund the
endorsed,
ABC.
yeah, he endorsed Victorian Socialists while he'd lost his taxpayer-funded job at the ABC, and so Victorian Socialists, they probably said, oh, we can get it back for you. And they also got the endorsement of Ros Ward, the Marxist designer of the Safe Schools program. So Stephen Jolliet really got the A-team to endorse him.
Yeah, and Noam Chomsky, I think that was the other one that you raised, wasn't it? Was that Noam Chomsky or something that gave an endorsement?
I'm not aware of that.
Oh, I thought that's what I read in your article. Sorry.
No, that would have been Lucas Rose's article.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
okay.
he did an article on the Victorian Socialists. Also, Corinne Grant, another alleged comedian, she endorsed the
Right.
Victorian Socialists. So,
Right, yeah. But the ABC is not biased at all with Tom Ballard. And who was Corinne Grant on the ABC? I know
she was on that
yeah.
Glasshouse program.
Ah,
Who
yeah.
did Yasmin Abdel Magid endorse?
Do you know?
No.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Okay.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Agree, my friend. Completely agree.
All right, so this is an election night live stream, so we'll look at some...
Oh, that's right. The election's going on.
Yeah.
Updates.
Oh, we're getting some results from Narrewarra North, which is one of the seats that is in play here. I'll just switch over. Vicky Fitzgerald, she's a solid conservative Liberal. She's got 56% of the primary vote so far, so that's a good start.
Very good.
But again, this could be a rural booth, so Vicky could be doing quite well just in this single booth.
I feel like a bit of an idiot, but what is Transport Matters? Because I've seen their posters up around Narre area especially.
They're basically a taxi industry party. So they want a huge compensation package for the taxi industry because of Uber being legalized, and they actually want taxi drivers' salaries subsidized by the taxpayers. So basically, really big government crony capitalism. I put them last. I'm not going to tolerate such a party that wants that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, the Luddite Party.
Wow,
Yeah,
taxi
well, they're
drivers
actually
go.
a good chance of winning a seat in East Metro because of the preference deals. The other micro parties, Sustainable Australia and South Metro, they could win there. And there is also the in West Metro, the Aussie Battler party as well, parties that we'd never heard of. And this is why they changed the system at the federal level, because Ricky Muir from the Motoring Enthusiast Party got elected by 0.3%. And so basically, if you get all the preferences, you can get 0.3% and leapfrog everyone else and get elected.
Stole that from Harvey. Complete plagiarism.
Oh, we've got Mulgrave, Daniel Andrews' seat.
Uh-oh. 63.
No, bring it up here.
Daniel Andrews voted for himself a few more times.
63.36%.
Yep, Daniel Andrews, he's doing quite well on the primary vote there, 63%. Everyone was hoping that Mulgrave, because he only held it with a margin of 4.5%, that there might be a surprise there, even if with the voters didn't get rid of Labor, the voters of Mulgrave would have gotten rid of Daniel Andrews, but it doesn't look the case there. Daniel Andrews is easily home there.
Literally.
Well, I got some. I had someone tell me just before we went on that the Liberal polling suggested that he was going to lose Mulgrave, but that seems to be quite wrong.
Yeah, I told you that.
Oh, the seat next door to
Fireworks.
to Mulgrave. This is held by the Liberals,
Friggin'
Michael
massive.
Gidley, who's a Conservative Liberal MP. Based on that, he looks in a bit of trouble there because he's only on 43% of the primary vote. Labor is on 48%, plus add the Greens, 8% there. That's concerning.
Well, shit.
Sorry, which vote was that? Sorry, which
Mount
election?
Waverley.
Mount Waverley, right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep it G-rated.
Yeah.
Keep it cheap.
Now, obviously,
Do we have any? Sorry.
yeah, you go.
Do we have anything on the marginal seats yet at all?
Yeah. We looked at Narry Warren, so we'll look at another one where. So Frankston is probably
I actually want to see how bad Dandenong is after Frankston.
Frankston the first.
Good old Franger.
Looks like a pretty solid lead for Labor.
Yeah, Labor candidate Paul Edbrook, he is on 53% of the primary vote. Liberal Michael Lamb on 25%. Let's not remember he had a train wreck interview with David Spears on the night of the People's Forum, where he was asked about the Liberals funding a new coal-fired power station. He kept saying, we'll put it out to tender, we'll get the market to decide. And he didn't know how the process would actually work. He just said, oh, we'll put it out to tender. And David Spears was like, well, hang on. How is this process exactly going to work? And it just went a whole circle. And David Spears from Sky, he's good at this. If politicians try to skim over the detail, then he goes after them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's the worst thing to happen in a marginal, absolutely. It probably would have an effect, I can imagine. Yeah.
Why don't we bring up another seat? I should also check, because even though we hate the ABC, they tend to Anthony Green, their election analyst, he does.
Ooh, come on.
So if we bring up the state of play. Now, I know that looks good, the LNP on 15 seats, ALP on 14 seats, but as I've been saying, they count the rural seats first. So this, as we can see, only 2.6% counted.
People in rural seats tend to go Liberal.
Yeah,
most
more national.
occasions.
That's
Like
true.
I have my uncle up in northeast Victoria who always goes Liberal. Does not like the Greens. I don't think anyone up there likes the Greens apart from themselves. I don't even know if they
That
like
areas-
themselves.
Most of those rural areas are always considered conservative for some reason.
Probably because all the
Good
other,
old-fashioned family values.
but probably because all the other parties just want to screw over the farmers, and usually the Liberals that say, well, hold your horses for a couple of seconds and let's actually take good care of these people.
But it's interesting because
What
like
just happened?
the regional at the same time, you know, the cities in the regional areas, like the big cities like Bendigo, I think they're more likely to be Labor typically, so they're surrounded by, you know, the country areas which are Liberal. And yeah, I think a part of that is, you know, because the sort of social revolution that happens in the cities doesn't, you know, filter out so quickly, obviously, to the countryside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that, or I just got a good filter for filtering out bullshit.
So where do we want to look out next?
Dandenong.
Dandenong, maybe?
Yeah.
Dandy bra. Right there.
Oh, there's been no counting there.
Oh. Yeah, of course.
Go to the
'cause, you know,
Burwood district.
That's nothing there.
Go to Bendigo.
No, that's
My good friend Kayleen.
Bendigo. Let's have a look at Bendigo.
Of course, the Labour Party.
Well,
Kayleen and Melissa.
Oh, just bugger off.
regional Australia, which is different from rural Australia, they tend to vote for Labor. The regional centres, the Ballarat, the Bendigos, in
Melton.
New South Wales, Newcastle, Illawarra, they're all safe Labor. It's when you get out into the bush that's the safe Liberal National.
What are you doing,
I look really
Bendigo? What
tanned.
are you doing? Just an observation.
Again, hitting the big issues.
So
Yeah.
it's still. I still think that it's too early to
Yeah, it's totally
call
too early.
Did
call
you just
anything.
see
Whoa, yeah. Let's bring that
I
up.
think so.
Go bring that up.
Yeah,
Ouch.
yeah. So 3.9% counted, 27 for the ALP, LNP 16, others 1%.
Mind blown. Not really. We all kind of expected that.
Mm.
Yeah, but I didn't expect it because what we saw just before was that
Yeah, but those are tinier.
I know, but it was just it just happened so quickly. Like all of a sudden, the Labour disease just went straight onto the graph and just woo up it goes.
Yeah. So it's looking like it's going to pan out as the polls predicted. The polls. Even though everyone says the only poll that matters on election day in Australia, the polls tend to be right. Like for example, in the same-sex marriage postal survey, everyone said, it's going to be a lot closer than the polls suggest. But
Hashtag fake news.
yeah, in the end, the
That's right, mate. Yeah,
the
thank you,
polls
dear.
were correct.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that was right, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Australia has got a good record of documenting facts during an election.
Mm.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we have compulsory voting, it means that everyone polled has to vote.
Yeah, but you can just show up and then not do anything on the piece of paper. Lots of people I know do
I
that.
could literally just draw a dick on.
Yeah,
the paper,
I
and that was it.
saw in my newsfeed today somebody who drew a dick on the ballot paper. I still like to
They're
vote.
hitting the hard issues though.
The hard issues.
I was saying before, I was thinking about just writing taxation as theft and putting that in, but I thought because I'm in a marginal, I better not waste it.
Well, did you know that with the electoral reform passed, it's now $6 per lower house vote? So if you actually vote properly, you're giving one of the major parties $6 of your money. It's your money.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So actually drawing taxation is theft. You're actually denying them $6. So you're actually making sure you're keeping that money.
Right, well, yeah,
Give
yeah,
the money back.
yeah.
Because
I was wondering
they
where my
passed
$6
the Daniel Andrews Labor government with the support of the Greens, Reason and Shooters and Fishers, this electoral reform bill where they got an extra, I think it was $45 million for political parties for the next 4 years of taxpayers' money to fund their political operations under the guise of getting rid of the corrupting influence of political donations. But yeah,
Well, let me ask you a question, Tim, because you're like a walking encyclopedia. What specifically, aside from the Australian Health Party, oh, what's it called? Is that what it's called?
Australian Health Party.
Yeah. What is, like, aside from focusing on Australian health, what is your opinion on them overall?
The Health Party, well, they're contesting this election. They're one of the micro parties. I think they're an anti-vaxxer party. I could be corrected, but they stood at the federal party, the Australian Health Party, and yeah, because they drew first on the ballot in New South Wales, there was a lot of publicity that they're an anti-vaxxer party. Do not donkey vote for them.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Well, not a lot of people doing donkey votes, and I think it's rather just.
I used to donkey vote when I was younger, but now that I'm more
It's
politically aware.
It's pretty stupid to do a donkey vote, though.
Oh,
because, you know,
oh my God.
oh, I'm gonna. Oh, mate.
It's close, isn't it?
Yeah, let's.
I really hope this doesn't turn into a Young Turk style live
Well,
stream
yeah, so
about the
ALP
election.
projected to be 37 seats now, LNP 16, other 1. We're just all hoping that's computer error. That
I would say so.
so they only need 8 more to win.
Blind are people.
Can I ask you, Tim? Where do you stand on Matthew Guy and the Liberals more generally?
Well, I said this on the last episode of the Unshackled Ways that Matthew Guy, he's not an imposing figure. Like, if you're gonna talk tough on law and order and on government waste, you've got to be an imposing, aggressive person, and Matthew Guy's just not that. He's
It's too passive.
and he's a really small guy, and I know that this is a shallow observation to make, but
Says Avi.
when he talks, he just looks like a pipsqueak, and so looks like a tryhard. I know that's unfair, but that's how people vote. They're like, oh, he's a really short person. Like I don't want to vote for him. Like,
It's not. If that were to happen, it wouldn't be like a conscious thought, would it? It would be interrupting their ability to see him as being tough on crime, like subconsciously. Yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest,
But
though,
Napoleon,
you got to
at the same
look.
time.
Yeah, but you got to look
you
at
look at-
the policies. You don't look at the person.
Yeah.
What policies is this person going to bring in? They need a person to bring in the policies, but that's all that matters at the end of the day. Is what does this person hope to do for Victoria? Not, hey, look, this guy's like less than 6 foot. Like, I'm not going to vote for him. He probably couldn't even see over the podium he's speaking on.
But people
But-
do vote superficially, was Tim's point. People
Yeah.
won't see him as an imposing figure, and as such, they probably put that in their archives when they're picking people. Yeah, exactly.
But
That
what
guy.
what more broadly do you think of the Liberals, Tim? Like, do you think that the party's going in the right direction?
Well, they don't know who they are at the moment. There are some in the Liberal Party who say that Victoria is a progressive state. You need to have a progressive Liberal Party. There's others who say that the Liberal Party needs to assert a more conservative identity and win the working class areas in the outer suburbs in the southeast. Try and make a move for the western suburbs of Melbourne. So yeah, the Liberal Party's it's got a lot of thinking to do about who they want to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And, I was saying this before. I think because Labor and Liberal are so close together, that's part of the reason why we see, this superficiality in politics and the policies, like, Matthew Guy's, whole fridge and TVs policy. That's a direct result, I think, of the fact that Labor and Liberal have come so close that they're fighting over these small issues and not big visions, because a lot of the social agenda of and the economic agenda of the left has sort of won in a way, like this sort of welfare state model. And originally the Liberals, were more free market, but gradually they've come to accept this sort of welfare state system. And so until you have that, I'll just think you'll just constantly be having this bickering over 300 million or 400 million and fridges and TVs and so on and so forth. So that's a problem with the vision. It's the ideology. So, I mean, no one can blame Guy for making policies like that in a way, because these problems are broader than just him, and people keep waiting for when's the next visionary leader going to come along. It's not going to come along until, as you say, like the ideology of the party is sort of settled.
Look, I'll just say that I don't like either Labor or Liberal, but we've got to pick the lesser of the two evils.
Oh yeah.
It's all about the policy prescriptions and the kind of problems that they have thought in detail to fix.
But at the same time, though, like, I mean, lesser of two evils, but they're becoming awfully hard to distinguish as to who is exactly the lesser, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, the Liberal has stuffed people around. I can see the unappeal in voting that.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that when someone becomes a major party, you know, if the members' hearts are not fully in that and they're just in it for the money and the publicity, they're not going to care what they do. They're just going to stuff people around anyways. And at the end of the day, we're getting stuffed around.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, the question of whether or not this sort of state of affairs of, you know, cronyism is an inevitable result of the fact that, I mean, I'm going to go full libertarian and objectivist here, but, you know, the fact that we have, you know, the government deciding all these things, of course you're going to get cronyism. That's an inevitable result of you know, that system where the government is able to, you know, advance its reach into the economy and so on and so forth. So people often go like, you know, we've got to get big business out of government. No, you've got to get government out of big business. And, you know, the disturbing, I mean, it's just a superficial point, but I'll make it anyway. The disturbing,
Still solid.
the disturbing way in which, you know, Daniel Andrews, and it's not just him, but it could be anyone, but, you know, he was saying at the People's Forum, for example, oh, these are our kids, you know, we've got to do the right thing for our kids. They're not his kids. I mean, it's just disturbing to think that the government has replaced, you know, in many respects, the role of the traditional parent, and the government is actually, you know, sort of assuming that, you know, the children of the state are, you know, its own. Like, I mean, I don't know, that's just it was a disturbing phrase to hear, you know, how far we've gone down the government controls everything route.
Yeah.
We've got a key race alert, if I may call it that. Let's bring up the seat of Morty Alec along the Frankston line. And Labor is on 50% of the primary vote. This was one the Liberals were hoping to win. Liberals are only on 31% of the primary vote. Greens on 8%. Yeah, that's looking like a comfortable Labor victory. So they're just not... Liberals are just not picking up these seats that they need.
Yeah.
It's a pity. It's a pity.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, they got those reforms on they got the infrastructure done on the Frankston line a long time ago.
So Andrews is basically bouncing around the big issues and trying to sweet talk everyone into another 4 years.
Well,
it's all of them doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
No.
we might have a look at another seat. As it's quite warm in here, so I had to take my jacket off. So did Zia had to take.
We did.
Yeah.
Then there were two.
I've got the vintage Unshackled shirt on now.
Yeah, you could sell
Then
it
I
at
have a
like an
black
antique
singlet top
store
on.
for like about $1,000.
Mm.
You're releasing your clothing line soon, Tim.
Well, we've recently relaunched our Upright Market store, which is we've got a few popular products. The most popular one is the "It's Not Okay to Be Green" shirt, which of course is a parody of the "Well, It's Okay to Be White," which is you commented on that. You poured stuff on yourself.
Has anyone got a bucket of dirt?
I poured a cup of milk on myself.
And I poured dirt on myself. So because if it's not okay to be white, I might as well, you know, try and change it.
I did it in solidarity for white people.
And
Oh,
like, what
you're
was it
evil.
like? What was it like when that milk was like poured on you? Like, how did it feel like?
It felt like I had to have a shower immediately after.
And
like
I assume
milk.
that you did.
I did.
Yeah.
I had a shower straight after
What
the
milk
dirt.
was that? It was proper milk?
It was a mix of milk because I felt guilty wasting it, and so then I also put a bit of soy milk in there.
Out.
And then I went,
Get out. Don't even explain yourself.
Ah.
You're out.
that is. I'm sorry. That is just unacceptable.
why?
I'm triggered.
Deported.
Hashtag triggered, yeah. Deport me back to Colombia.
But I get.
Is this the Carl and Jackie show now? Or talking about pouring milk on each other?
I put dirt on myself. I stand out.
Yeah, he did dirt. He poured dirt on himself.
And then because of that, Dia decided to follow me.
I
Yep.
did. But Neil Erickson also gave me the idea sometime earlier.
The idea.
Shut up.
Oh, there's some results for Dandenong now.
Oh, is there? Let's see how
like,
Labour it is.
Yeah.
Just scroll down a little more.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I'm gonna take a photo of this. I have to
yeah.
take a photo of how bad my that area is.
It's on.
I'm
That's just so.
So transport matters.
Hang on.
Well, I assume there'd be a lot of Afroz Ahmed, a lot of cab drivers down Dandenong Way.
There is.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
so not surprising that they're running
There's a
that.
freaking company down there, Dandenong Taxis.
Yeah, they've done not too bad. I mean, 3.68% of the vote. Minor parties,
Seriously.
they need to get 4% of the primary vote to get
Taxi
some of
drivers.
that
The taxi drivers are going to
sweet
start a coup.
electoral money. Are you monitoring YouTube?
Yeah, I'm just looking at YouTube, what they're saying.
The taxi
Okay.
drivers are going to
I'm
start
only
a coup
monitoring Facebook,
against
so
us.
if they've got any like requests of us, let me know.
They're not saying anything particularly important. Someone said that I'm cheeky.
Cheeky breaky.
Okay, so we've got the seat of Carrum now.
Someone asked if Dave Hiscox was coming on.
Yes, we have got David Hiscock and Matty Roses coming in later tonight. Unfortunately, we aren't able to be joined by the young Conservative. He's been helping the Australian Liberty Alliance out all day, and so
He's committed.
yeah.
I don't really see the need in having Maddie or David Hiscox on, but hey, they're coming on.
Hey, they're once you two run out of energy.
I'm joking. They're my friends.
Okay, so let's look at the seat of Carrum here. So, Labor Party on nearly 50% of the primary vote, Liberal on 35%. We have the Greens on 7% and Independent Michael Tesla on 3%.
This is so someone wants to know which area were the socialists shipping all the houses to?
Good question. You'll have to ask them. That's only something
So,
that
could
they-
someone enlighten me? Shipping houses.
I just read the question. I'm not sure what.
I don't know what that means.
Are the people on YouTube, are they a lot more constructive?
Seems so.
Just from those preliminary results, Tim, it looks pretty dismal for the Liberals. Like in those marginal seats, like if you're seeing leads that big from Labor, that's already a very, very bad sign. So
Let's bring up the ABC projection.
Steve G on YouTube has said that I am awesome. Steve G, you are right.
Steve, you're a
So ALP projected to win 41 seats. We've got the LNP projected to win 16 seats, and we've got other on 4 seats. Let's see who those others are. I'll investigate that.
Were you dissing the YouTube about the constructive comments? Was that a diss or was that genuine?
What?
I don't know. Someone just asked.
No, I'm saying the YouTube people. They're great.
It was not a diss, Steve G.
Yeah, we love our new YouTube followers here at the Unshackled. They're all thanks to our producer Morgan Munro, who goes to all these different events and just films the left making fools of themselves.
It's all
Gotta
good
love
fun.
Morgan.
It's good fun.
So I'm curious to see what the inner city battles are like between Labor and the Greens. So let's see if we got anything for Brunswick.
Brunswick's right there.
Oh, we do. Oh,
Like, seriously, the Liberals are... Just wait for it to come up on the screen. The Liberals are a minority at this point in the seat of Brunswick.
Oh, well, yeah, it's a Labor and Greens contest. So it looks like Labor's going to retain that. The Reason Party, they had a celebrity candidate there, Catherine Devanere, who's known for being a provocateur. She's basically the left-wing version of Milo, because she says stuff like, the farmers, they're just complainers. The Anzac Day is like bogan Halloween. So... But she can say that. It's free speech. And so, if Milo's allowed to say, like, gun down journalists, then Catherine Devaney is allowed to say that.
Well, she can't really be much like Milo, seeing I haven't heard of her.
Oh, you don't know about Catherine Devaney? You should follow her on Twitter.
she was bigger back in the day. She used to write. Wrote for the Age, did she not?
Yeah, she got
Physically
fired
or-
from there because she hoped that 11-year-old Bindi Irwin would get laid at the Logies.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, that'll do it.
A new Tax 76 wants to know if we can call a lefty for an opinion, just to troll as a good time filler. I don't know any lefties.
I don't have any lefties in my phone. My phone has standards.
It's good that everyone in YouTube's okay with the quality as well. Like, there's the audio issues have ended.
No one on YouTube is complaining about the audio. No.
Awesome.
They're trolling us through their silence.
No, they're being pretty active.
Controlling us by not watching us. Really.
Okay, so it's clear from the results now that we're going to get Daniel Andrews is going to have a second term in office. Labor is comfortably re-elected. So we've seen this state change so much in 4 years. We've got another 4 years of Labor government.
Right, we're gone. We're screwed.
What do you think of this, Tim? Like, I mean, because, you know, there was an article I read earlier on today, and it said that even if Daniel Andrews wins, the chances of him like surviving on until the end of his full term are probably pretty low, just considering the state of play in Australia at the moment. So, I mean, is this sort of like a legacy term for him? Like, do you think that he'll pick up on the radical sort of social and...
Well, he's pledged to serve a full term, and given that how unpopular it is with the public knifing sitting premiers or prime ministers, I don't think Labor will... Well, if they've got any sense.
I reckon... I wonder how perturbed the... public really is with those sort of knifings. I wonder if it's sort of if they would be less perturbed if such knifings did not seem completely pointless, because whenever this happens, it seems that we get a candidate that's completely the same as the earlier one. So really, what's changed, And I think that's part of the reason why the settle down, guys. That's part of the reason.
Someone in the comment sections told us to do that. We're not being stupid.
We're just keeping the viewers happy.
Legitimately.
That's part of the reason I think that why the public gets so annoyed, if they do, by the knifings, because they seem to be completely pointless and just about who's in the winning faction, really, rather than, I mean, if you had an ultimate change, like if you had someone that really changed things a long way, I doubt that simply the fact that they got in by knifing someone, which is part of the ordinary political process, I doubt that it'll really haunt them. But
yeah.
So take off all not all of them.
So do you think that the federal knifing will have hurt guys' chances?
Right
I don't think so. I reckon people view state and federal as different. So, what was the other seat where the Greens were? Oh, we've got some results. Did we already look at Frankston? I think we did.
But it was 0, wasn't it, when we checked?
Yeah, so we might as well check again.
This is just
It's depressing. It's depressing.
So painful. This is more painful than being kicked in the balls repeatedly.
Let's give the two a shot, shall we?
Let's try not to.
So, how much is counted there? So, well, it's only 8% of the enrollment so far, but yeah, that is looking like it's easily. Now we should check if.
I think I'll need to start picking up my drinking.
Sorry, do you wanna?
I'm having a bladder problem right now.
Hey.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no. I mean, I need an alcoholic drink to,
Over there, George will pass it to you.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Don't worry, George.
So they get in one of those.
Yeah, at the fridge. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be a long night, so we're probably going to be having a few drinks, and it's going to be commiserations, because this is. You can imagine Daniel Andrews sort of like being the type of person to say, "Hi, if you thought I was radical before."
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, he'll come back, with his ego already quite substantial, only enlarged, and there's the fact that he's already sort of had his time, so in a way he's got that satisfaction of having led. But if he's in it for a second time, then bonus, and so he'll do, more what he wants to do. So if anything, some of the radical changes, I'm talking about the social changes, might pick up. I don't think that the Metro Rail thing, I think it's just, I mean, they probably aren't solid on it. They're not 100% certain that they're going to follow through with it. I mean, it depends, but yeah, it looked very much like a huge promise for the election, and to be reviewed, afterwards.
Now, I am we're going pretty well at the moment. We've gotten a significant audience on Facebook and YouTube.
I was wondering what you meant that we're going pretty well, because Liberals not doing well at all.
No,
Now
I
I
mean,
understand. Yeah.
I'm probably going to step out to just have a bite to eat.
No worries.
Because this is.
You haven't had dinner yet.
No, because I was trying to get everything. As you know, I was stressing trying to get everything ready.
I paid for his dinner, everyone. I'm such a nice.
Magnus, you're the
person.
responsible one. So can you moderate?
Oh, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, moderate the
Okay.
discussion.
Why does he have to moderate? No, kidding. That's an
Yeah.
obvious question.
Because you two.
Because he's a man.
Yeah.
So this is going to become the Magnus and Mountain show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah. You've got to keep these two kids responsible.
Yes, please. Actually, yeah. Yes, please.
Right in front of the camera.
That's all right.
So
I don't care if people see how cheap I'm drinking.
Baba.
Do you want to sit in the middle so that I'm away from him?
Oh no, it's all right. I'm fine here.
So,
Yeah.
so there's a question being prepared for us that's been by one of our YouTube viewers. Viewers. I am an idiot. Viewers.
Yeah.
And I'll just get the question real quick.
Hello, this is the Magnus.
That's adorable, guys.
Let's try and keep it professional.
Dear show.
Um,
And that guy there.
Not if
Fuck
I can
you.
help it.
So we got
Yeah.
handed a question here. Do you think Labor holding a majority government is a silver lining when compared to a minority government in alliance with the Greens?
Yeah, well, that's the point that was raised to me earlier on. Whether or not it would be better for Labor to just win outright rather than be in that with the Greens. Yeah, I think that there's certainly an argument to be made there. Yeah, I absolutely think that there is an argument to be made there. Yeah, I mean, look, it's all pretty depressing. I'll be depressed either way,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably the best thing would be, that's the best realistic thing would be for Labor to just govern in its own
I'm
right.
depressed already. Like, just seeing the results and seeing how
Just move
lost
forward.
a lot of our voters really are.
How lost?
How lost. Or
Hey.
brainwashed.
Tim forgot
Yep.
his food.
I don't think we're advertising for Uber Eats, so that better go before we...
That's the message from our
He wanted
sponsors.
to get a bite to eat.
Just a message from our sponsors, because we didn't vote for Transport Matters.
Thanks, George.
Yeah, look, I don't know. Again, my problem with the Liberals is they've... well, it's a small problem.
They have issues. They do.
Yeah, like they've just... It's pretty much the everything, they've betrayed everything. So, yeah, look, I do think that they're tackling things the wrong way. I don't agree with this the stance on population, because what they're doing is they're taking this idea that if population's too big, then we've got to move people out, and it's government that should be
To regional areas.
yeah, well, that's the decentralization plan. And looking at the long term, the way that if you want to handle a population, handle a population, then the best way would just be to allow freedom in the economy. And so that way the economy is able to respond more sufficiently to demand and supply. And it's able to build more houses. You get rid of the red tape, and so houses can appear better. But this idea of let's just get rid of the population, from Melbourne, that is, it's just such a... it is ultimately a short-term, I think, way of looking at it. It's completely visionless, and it's completely untrue, I reckon, too, either, because, yes, overcrowded, big cities have their problems.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, then stop
but-
letting more people in.
Well, stabbings, that's a problem.
but at the same time, they're big because they're big for a reason. Lots and lots of people want to be there. And so it's actually a good sign, in many respects, that the city is as big as it is, because that means that, it's got a lot to offer. And, again, I often feel like, Daniel Mandrews is running around with a big bag of goodies, which is what Labor does. It just spends and spends. And the Liberals, are sort of, it's hard to compete with that because, they're sort of saying, oh, we're going to open up prisons and this and that. And that's, and we're going to deal with this sort of population problem, it's not sort of like, I don't know how to put it. It's sort of less optimistic, if you will, than Daniel Andrews' program.
Well, if they're opening up prisons, I think it's really actually nice of the Liberals to build a nice retirement home for Daniel Andrews by the way of a prison.
Yeah, right.
So they're actually making a nice gift for Daniel Andrews, saying, "Thank you for your service. Now go and live here."
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, then again, you know, the thoughts that keep him up at night are probably enough of a prison. He could be in a 5-star resort and yet still feel like he's confined in a hellhole. So, look, I mean, well, that's probably just me. That's wishful thinking, really. Probably does very well suppressing his evil thoughts. Sorry, go ahead. I'm stealing the mic from you. Sorry. You wanted to say something?
No?
No? Oh, okay.
Did I say I wanted to say something?
No, sorry. You look like you had a thought.
She always does.
I just always look concerned.
Oh, okay.
I have resting concerned face.
All right.
You're always concerned with something, aren't you?
Now a message from our sponsors. I'd like to give a shout out to oh, I probably shouldn't mention the name actually, should I? Yeah. Wine Co. and the delicious brand. It's a new drop. It's called White Wine. And that follows on from the earlier success they had last year of red wine. So yeah, cheers.
It all started at Goon.
Goonbox.
Goon.
Yeah.
When do the other guests arrive? We have other guests coming at some point
Yeah.
to tag team this live stream.
I'm not
What's
sure.
the go with that?
Tagged.
I'm not sure what the go is.
You're a horrible moderator.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I'm just keeping it moderate.
How dare you?
Let's see if there are any YouTube comments. Because
Alright.
everyone's focusing
like,
on the Facebook
Streamers read mean comments.
I will focus on the YouTube comments. Let's have a look.
On Facebook.
Neo Anderson says that you guys are soy boys.
How did he discover my identity? That's right, fine. Fuck you, I'm going back to Fitzroy.
Apparently, I see all. Thanks, Piers Taylor. Apparently, according to Piers Taylor, the Greens are HIV positive.
Greens are HIV positive.
Steve G says, most of us go to work hard, get paid, then come compulsory voting time, choose a side. Let her have the mic, soy boy. I think you're the soy boy.
How depressing.
It's a reputation well deserved, probably.
Do you drink soy milk?
No, I don't drink soy milk. No,
Only pour it over me to make videos.
I don't drink soy milk ever since
Oh,
I've.
fuck's sake.
Right.
Good old trolls, like the usual old ones, like this guy. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one, Logan. Wait, oh no.
That lady.
Don't know. I was talking about that person, but holy
No,
crap.
but she's like, I always block her.
Everyone there looks so sad. Everyone here
She
is
said-
partying.
she said-
Woohoo!
That lady said about me that she think that she wished that my parents had aborted me.
Lady. That's
Whoa.
hardly a lady.
Alrighty. Pardon? Oh. So, just
Right
having
then.
some yeah, I think excuse me, I'm just going to take a break, so I'm going to leave it to Dear to moderate. Yeah.
This show is getting smaller and smaller as the minute goes on.
Just in case anyone's wondering, if the cityscape behind us suddenly bursts out into smouldering flames, that means that Daniel Andrews has been re-elected for a second term. So that's the key measure of Labour success. So yeah, over to you guys.
That's all good. Stay there. You just want to see how it's going.
Oh, okay. I was going to come out for a break anyway, actually.
All right, well, you can go. George, do you want to step in?
Yep, done. Come on. Why not? Why not? How's it going?
Welcome.
What's up, George?
Hopefully this is coming through.
So your latest album. Let's talk nachos.
Well,
I love your stuff, Moby.
I have been a musician, but it's been 4 years since I've released any music. Oh, really?
Losing my religion.
Actually, a question I did want to ask is, now that they've got the majority, something that was passed through in October, I think it was the health department, backed They Day. So the first Wednesday of every month, they have to introduce gender neutral pronouns solely for the month, and the Labor government backed it. Now that they've got a majority, could you see a law, say, similar to Bill
Tasmania?
C-16 in
Yeah.
in Canada, something like that coming through.
Sadly, yes.
Yeah, it's already headed that way. In Tasmania, you can already opt in or opt out. Sydney Watson did a fabulous video on this subject matter, and yeah, you can opt in or opt out whether you would like to document whether your child is male or female. Like, it's now an opt-in, opt-out process. The doctor will not assign the child's gender unless the parent chooses to do so.
It's so funny because a gender is not assigned at birth; it's
No.
recorded at birth.
Yeah, if you have, you know,
I'm like, oh,
has anyone seen the movie Kindergarten Cop? Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Well,
I mean,
not anymore.
how-
Not anymore. Boys
no.
can give birth.
Apparently
We now
so.
know this. I mean, the real thing that's a problem with this is when it comes to, you know, people can have their views and go, I'm a girl, sure, fine, whatever. It's not going to hurt me. But when you go into a surgery, lower abdominal pain is very different if you're a man or a woman.
Absolutely.
Yet the doctors now have to treat a lot of doctors have to sort of treat you as what your preferred gender is.
Well, some women suffer from erectile dysfunction.
oh. Oh my
Well.
God. I must be one of those women. I'm joking. But
I don't think you're joking.
Enough about your normal Saturday nights. It's the election. We've got to stay focused.
maybe that's just because I see a picture of Daniel Andrews and it's just it's down. But
Are we able to get up any more of the polling results?
Let's have a look. If
okay, so
Do you know how to do it?
How I viewed it.
okay, yeah, you do it.
Which one is it on? Is it on Mozilla?
I don't know, dude. No, yeah, it's on
Yes.
Mozilla.
So there it is.
I would like to see the Bentley district if possible, just because that's my local electorate.
Bentley District.
All right, I'm going on to the
Let's go
Facebook
down.
chat.
Oh,
Wait for it,
okay.
wait for
So
it. Just wait for it for a sec. Where is the actual recording taking place? Nope. Where are we? Damn it, Tim! You didn't leave an instruction manual.
there it is. There it is. That blue one.
There we go.
There we go. So that's us.
And now we go web browser.
Oh, okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So Nick Stakos has been our a member for the last 4 years, and there was I think he only won less than 1%, and the Bentley seat was big in the 2010 election because that was went to I can't remember her last name, Milne, I think it was, for the Liberals, and that seat was won by I think something like 700 votes,
Yeah.
and that ended up being the single vote that put Ted Baillieu in charge in 2010.
Yeah.
So Nick Stakos won in 2014, and he looks to have improved his lead. I know we're
Up here, so-
only probably 10% of the vote, if that counted. But I know my mother's a teacher at McKinnon Secondary College, which is sort of in the centre of that district, and she was saying,
Don't tell people where your mother works.
for the sake of, she was saying the kids love Nick Stakos. She said it's really kind of strange that, especially like year 9 and 10 kids have an affinity for a local leader. So
Well, I kind of probably view it as that the kids be more inclined to go with Labor because
kids
I don't
naturally.
agree.
Because
It's
of
the
what
most. This is the most conservative generation that's ever existed. So I don't know if
I'm
that's
talking
accurate.
about kids,
It's
primary school kids.
it's the most conservative generation when compared to the baby boomers at their age.
That's
so
true.
they
that's
still
true.
skew
On
left.
average.
They still skew left, but the belief is by the time they're the current baby boomers age that they will skew far more right
One
wing
can only
than
hope, hey?
so we're not sort of expecting the youth vote like the Liberals will be coming out in 2022 or
Yeah.
2026 and going, come on youth, vote for us, because that's not going to be the case.
Traditionally, conservatism is viewed as the more old people's resort kind of thing. You know,
Well,
it's sort of the party.
It is, but
the
it's
party
become a
for
lot
the-
cooler. Like
the
since
party
people
for
like
the
Milo
elderly.
Yiannopoulos and
I know, and I think that's kind of the left's kind of freaking out about that because they're just like, hey, look,
Good.
they've got a cultural icon now. You know, they've got Milo, they've got Trump, Daddy,
Daddy.
Well, the big thing mainly is you're very idealistic when you're younger, and as you sort of get a family, you tend to become more conservative because you want to protect your family and all of those things. So that's a big factor as well.
Definitely.
When your sort of mind view becomes a lot more focused as well.
You're on top of it, George.
Happy to help.
Claudia is pleased.
Oh, beautiful. Happy here.
I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, let's. I don't know.
Do you want to?
I don't know. This is just going for so long.
I know. I don't know where everyone else run off to.
I don't. Yeah, everyone's walked off. Can we just
Oh,
all
okay.
walk off and like leave the city
No.
in the background?
No.
No?
Because, we get trolled again.
We're getting
Go
trolled
back.
anyway, I would
Um,
assume.
Screw them. Okay, so.
Well,
There's another one we can look for.
Let's go the heart of Melbourne. Let's go the heart of Melbourne. Let's see.
TBD.
Yep, Melbourne district. There it is. Yep.
Just wait for it. Okay, that doesn't look good. Let me put it up on the screen for everyone to see exactly how crap things have been going for us. So, what's this? The Greens. The Greens are actually ahead of Labor in the seat of Melbourne. It always happens in the seat of Melbourne. The Greens always seem to take over.
Well, yeah.
With Labor not trailing that far behind.
Inner cities definitely, as discussed earlier, go green, but even the federal seat is green held in. I think it's Adam Bant, who's now the deputy leader of the Greens.
Yeah.
So, unbelievably here, the Labor Party might actually rely on Liberal votes to win on the two-party preferred if it was being held right now, because I don't see a scenario in which.
Sorry.
You're just checking if it's
Maybe
still
just
live.
volume down.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I wasn't
One of
thinking.
us down.
I was like, what do I do?
Not what you were doing.
So that's actually quite troubling. But again, it's still only 8-9% of the vote counted. So.
Yeah.
When you're early on like this, it's really hard to tell, because you can always say maybe the youth get out and vote early. They want to, whoever wakes up at 6 a.m. Maybe the vote's getting counted now. Maybe it's the votes that get at 5:45 p.m. We don't know the order. So
I voted on Thursday because I thought that it would be super busy on the day. Turns out most people vote early now, and on the day it's actually a lot less people.
I actually find it more fun to vote on the day, because that's when people really try and convince you by handing out their crappy flyers. It's like, as I stated earlier about the Greens trying to give me their flyer and me saying it's poison, because it literally is poison.
Oh, I mean, it's.
Is your hand okay?
No, my hand is going green. It now has its own solar panel.
It's fungus.
It is funny going to the polls, isn't it? Because the people trying to hand you the flyers, it's almost like you're a bucket of chips and they're the seagulls. They're just coming for you.
Seriously, it's like about the only time the strangers actually care about me.
Just remember, I can be
I'm a very
poison.
sad man.
Gonna have to start a GoFundMe for your.
Yeah, GoFundMe. Please confront me and harass me.
What's
in public
happened to
more.
the Trolley Man's GoFundMe page? He's doing quite well.
He's my personal hero.
He's pretty great.
And then wasn't he questioned by police about some other things that he'd done?
I
did
have
see
no
that,
idea.
yeah.
I have not looked into that at all.
Did he actually get in like?
He had
some
two
kind
GoFundMe pages for some reason.
Did he actually get in
Well,
some
I
kind of
mean,
trouble
Christine
for?
Blasey Ford had one as well. So
Did he actually get in some kind of trouble for getting involved?
Well,
in the
because
incident?
it's a police matter, so when a civilian tries to get involved, they're putting themselves in danger. Like when I used to work retail, they say that when you are held up in any sense, in any way, you are to give them what they want and then let them walk away. Don't try and be a hero because you may get hurt. So it's sort of similar thinking.
I mean, seriously.
Like he could
If
have.
they wanted to take my child away, would I just be like, yeah, here, take him, take his clothes, take his prep? No.
No, but that's a very different
I'm
analogy.
literally going to stand my ground.
Well, I mean,
for someone to get in trouble for at least attempting to stop innocent people getting harmed.
Well, the police in that moment seemed a little bit.
Idiotic?
I didn't want to say that. I think they were trying their very best and they did the right thing in the end. But most people would say you shoot to kill.
To be honest,
You don't sort of.
I don't.
You don't let them
I
piss
think they
fight
could've-
around trying to stab.
To be honest, they could have done better, because, for about a good 5 to 10 minutes, they were
dancing a waltz with the guy around the streets of Melbourne.
It was
Like,
odd.
I mean, I could literally put on a waltzing tune and it would fit
Waltzing
everything.
Matilda, waltzing.
I was thinking more
No,
like Daniel.
that's the problem with the police these days. If they,
Stab, stab, shoot, shoot.
if they shoot first and visions that they did shoot first without doing anything else, they're going to be in the sort of the political line of fire, and that's going to.
But it's more effective than just dancing with the person in public. Because I was trying to work out with this dancing with terrorists.
Go for it, Tim.
So I've played musical chairs a few times today.
We were just looking at the.
That's a
scene
good
of
view of
Melbourne
you, dear.
before,
What are you
so-
doing?
Okay, so have you
Yeah.
already figured out how to do it?
Yeah.
So the show didn't fall apart when I left.
I mean, check the
now
comments.
it is.
Everyone would say he probably did. I don't know.
It's falling, but other than
Yeah,
that-
well, I've just while I've stepped out and had my dinner.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the ABC has called this election for Labor. Michael Rowland, the ABC commentator, said this is a rout for the Labor Party, and
Thank Christ Tim's back. That's what someone wrote. So you are in demand.
Yeah. And now you've made.
What
me
are you
lost my
saying
thoughts.
about me, person?
Sorry, keep going.
So, yeah, it's clear that Labor has won a thumping victory. Like, they're up to, if I bring up... See, I'm the only one who knows how to...
No, you're not. I've done it before.
Oh, you did do it.
Yeah. I've been watching you, Tim.
whoa, 55.
So, yeah, that is landslide territory.
Ouch.
ALP 55 seats.
And these are called elections.
Yeah. Anthony Green has called them the ABC election analysis. So, well on the way to victory. So, I want to ask the question now because I know what Conservatives are going to rage about this result, saying like, how can after the past 4 years, how can Victorians be this stupid to, well, not just re-elect this guy, but re-elect him in a landslide? I mean, I'm never going to leave Victoria. The Unshackled's not going to leave Victoria. You're not going to leave Victoria.
I might go back to Colombia.
Colombia.
Become a drug runner. It'll be fun.
Here I come, Athens.
Seriously.
No, I'm not going to leave Victoria. This is my state, and I was born and raised here. Obviously, I love this country. I love this state, and there's no reason for people to be so shocked. It's obvious that Labor was going to win.
Yeah.
But to this extent, I mean, everyone thought they'd just get back in 1 or 2 seats, but they're going to get back in easily.
Which is a pity.
What do you think the polling was wrong, or do you think it just suddenly swayed in the last
Apathy.
few days? Because I think it was, as we said, it looked, 3 or 4 months ago it was 50-50, and just in the day or two before it swung 53-47. And is that enough to turn it?
I honestly think most of the reason that the Labor has such a strong win is because most people just attribute politics or government to Labor and just go, oh, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna vote for them anyways. A lot of people just vote for anyone. The first person that hands them a flyer, it's like, yeah, I'll vote for you because you're the first person.
Or donkey voting, or just showing up.
Well, Daniel Andrews, in this campaign, he's been offering free stuff. He's like, free breakfast and lunch for school kids. And the really alarming thing about that policy, and people say, oh, like, how could you object to underprivileged kids getting breakfast and lunch at school? But the thing is, parents should be doing that, or that's the traditional role of the parents. I mean, you feed your kids, otherwise they should be taken away from you.
And otherwise, there's a dependency and a reliance developing on the government.
On the state.
Yeah.
And then you become lazier. This is socialism. The lazier you become, the more that you expect from the government, the more faith you have in government, and the less you'll want to work, the less you'll want to do on your own. And we are creating a whole generation of lazy people.
They're teaching the kids how to survive and like how to work in a society that is built on food stamps and rations.
Exactly. Hashtag socialism. Hashtag Venezuela.
Well,
Lovely place.
one of the things that's going to happen in the next 4 years is the state debt ratio is going to double because, well, Daniel Andrews where do you get all the money to fund these projects from? And of course, Labor, when they build infrastructure, they do sweetheart deals with the unions, and it ends up costing the taxpayers millions and millions of more dollars. So it's going to come back to bite us. Saying none of us here are old enough to remember the dying days of the John Cain, Joan Kerner years, where basically the state was broke, the state bank had collapsed, people lost their life savings, there was transport strikes all the time. And that was basically, even though Jeff Kennett had lost already 2 elections. And how many had he lost? He'd lost 1, 2.
He's the responsible for Crown Casino, right?
Yeah. Even though he'd been a 2-time loser, that's the reason why he won a thumping victory, because it's like, we'll have anyone but Labor. Which basically means mean that the only way Labor's going to lose in the future is to basically, they've just got to be so bad. Like, how much bad do they have to be?
People have to be done with them. That won't happen yet.
Basically, I think that the whole suburbs have to be on fire. That's basically all I can say.
All these seats here, boom, gone. Like, it's just, everything is just an absolute sea of red right now, and
and this wasn't remotely predicted. I think across the board it was, 47, maybe 48 for Labor, and if they're going to be in the mid-50s, it's very possible that even a swing at next election, Daniel Andrews could win again. So he could be looking as a long-term leader. And I would say one of the big problems with Matthew Guy is ultimately he was just some guy. And unless the Liberals can come up with a strong new leader, I think we could, it's 4 years out, we could be looking at a 3-term Labor government.
Neil Erickson, the Senator Slayer.
I don't see anyone on the Liberal front bench at a state level who'd be capable of doing this. I mean, the only really, I'd say, strong, imposing MP that they have is Bernie Finn, but he's in the upper house. I mean, he leads the March for the Babies every year that us three attended. He's not afraid to say it how it is, but the Liberal hierarchy would probably say he's too conservative.
Yeah, and they'll definitely be wanting to win back the sort of more central voters now, if it is at the mid-50s. This is a big problem for the Liberal government at this election. I do think that the train stations have had a positive effect. People are able to see change with their eyes. A lot of people complain, what does government do? 54 seats.
Yeah, we're screwed.
With 13 in doubt. And 2 others. I'm assuming the seat of Shepparton stayed independent.
Oh man, I just wish that something would just...
Oh wow.
Okay, so we've got the ABC results. It's the only time we'll use the communist ABC. So this is all Anthony Green's projection here. So, whoa, 11% swing there in Albert Park to Labor. Altona, that was safe anyway. Whoa, Bass, the seat of Bass, that's gone to the ALP. Seat of Bayswater, that's gone to the ALP. That was, because that's in the eastern suburb belt for Liberal Party. Ballerine, Lisa Neville, who, let's not remember, the day after the terror attack in Melbourne, she sat at a wine bar drinking wine for 75 minutes when most people would think that she should be in some sort of crisis meeting, but...
That's class, isn't it?
Yeah, all she did was just sit there.
That's just such classy behaviour.
Memories of Christine Nixon when she went out to dinner with friends on
I was thinking of that. So some people just don't take their jobs seriously.
Bendigo, Labor is easily back in. Bentley, ALP easily holding that.
Even the seat of Brighton, a 7% swing. So that would be seen as a very, very safe Liberal seat. And right now, it's, 52%?
And Box Hill, Robert Clark, former Liberal Attorney General, he's gone. 9% swing to the Labor, he's gone. That which is Box Hill, that is an eastern suburb seat which you would have thought that the Liberals would retain. So let's keep going here. Broadmeadows, well, yeah. Bright.
That's just.
I think the seat of Bulleen there is the first Liberal swing that we've seen so far.
Yeah, Matthew Guy, the leader, a 0.2% swing.
It's like that's my homeboys. It's like
Labor is also holding the inner city, so they've fended off the Greens. I don't think inner city feminists and male feminists like a party full of a party with lots of sexual predators in it. Buninyong, ALP is going to retain that. Burwood, that's an ALP gain. Graham Watt is gone. He was the one who was at the rally against safe schools back in April, I believe it was.
That's pretty why.
Karam, I'd say that ALP
will retain.
Yeah.
I think a swing for the ALP in the seat of Caulfield. We were talking about Avi Yemeni earlier. I would say that that's a bad sign for him.
Yeah, 9% swing in Caulfield, which is sort of like it's a Jewish area. Like Jews, they tend to vote for the coalition. I mean, there's the big push to inside the coalition to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Yet voters of Caulfield, they voted in the Labour Party. We're at Cranbourne, 14.7% swing.
No prediction yet, though.
Yeah, but I think we can guess where that's going to go. Anne-Marie Hermans, she was the Liberal candidate. She was a big campaigner against safe schools. She's lost.
Dandenong, 75% of the vote.
I know, it's terrible. What is going on in Dandenong? Oh, Gabrielle Williams.
I wonder what's going on in Dandenong. Who are the majority of people that make up Dandenong?
Frankston, a 9% swing to the ALP. Geelong, well, I'm just skipping through the ones which are safe. Hastings, whoa, that's
a stunning turn.
Yeah, ALP is ahead, 8% swing. That's a safe Liberal seat.
How did Stephen Jolly go?
We haven't got any for the upper house yet.
Okay. Hawthorn is a huge swing.
Yeah, Hawthorn, that's, blue blood seat.
That's become a marginal seat for next election.
Wow.
I think it's very safe to call here that Matthew Guy will not be leader next week.
Yeah, he's
very
Guy
safe
gone.
To say that. And the good thing about us is that we're nice about it. We don't go crazy like the left does when Trump wins.
Yeah, we're not going to say not
the Young
my
Turks.
not my premier.
Hashtag not my premier. And we're not going to cry and scream like little bitches.
This has to be.
You know what? I am better than you.
Yeah, Dia, you're the woman on this panel. You're supposed to have a meltdown saying you're going to kill yourself.
Why? You're just dumb. You're dumb.
Yeah, Anna Kasparian.
Anna Kasparian. Yeah.
Anna Capsicum.
I'm a minority on this panel. I should be
Morwell, the ALP is ahead, but that's basically because the National MP who held that seat, Russell North, he was found to be bankrupt because of gambling debts, so that pretty much made the seat toxic.
Not a good sign there.
That pretty much made the seat toxic there. Matthew Gidley has lost in Mount Waverley. Daniel Andrews, he now has a really safe seat. He's had a 9% swing to him.
He looks like Mickey Mouse and Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
Seriously,
a lot of people commented that
Mr. Bean.
Daniel Andrews had lost a lot of weight for the state election. Did anyone notice that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he was looking very.
His ears stayed the same size. So
who?
His ears stayed the same size.
Two Narry Warrens, both retained by the ALP. Oh, Nepean, that is down on the Mornington Peninsula. That's an ALP gain. What the hell?
11% swing there.
Well, they had a retiring member.
What is going on in this election? Why is everything just... I can't explain it. I actually can't explain this. Why is everything actually just falling to pieces?
Because you're all dumb. You're just dumb.
I'll turn...
Anna Kasparian.
I think I've turned to Chink.
So
I can't
across
do his
the board, across the board, it looks to be a 5% swing, at least, to the ALP.
I love the YouTube commenters for this Unshackled live stream, by the way. They're so awesome.
The YouTube, you're checking the comments?
Yes, they're so kind.
We've given up on Facebook.
Yeah, no. The YouTubers, look, listen to this.
Having
They're saying, Dia is beautiful. We all love her. We can protect her. She can say what she wants, and we want to have her back. Dia does a great Anna Kasparian. Love it. Thank you, YouTubers.
Logan is hot. I want him in my bed.
Okay.
No one actually said that.
Excuse me.
Tim is awesome.
Yeah.
Who's that George guy?
Who's that George guy? Actually, can I quickly plug my channel?
Yeah,
Our
go for
face
it.
is showing, or is that up?
No, it's.
Oh wait, I should turn it back now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, it's all gone to hell. So, my channel is Loyrad Media, Loyrad, and our show On the Leftist Front goes live on Fridays, and we have Magnus O'Malley as a regular, and yeah, it's on YouTube, SoundCloud, or the Apple Podcast app.
Good old Magnus.
Just search Loyrad Media. Yeah, we're only a few months in, so slowly growing, and if you want to check us out, you can search there.
Awesome.
Shout out to a couple of the YouTubers. Piers Taylor, you are awesome. Track76, you are awesome. Steve G, you are awesome. Okay, continue.
Well, is this your debut on camera?
Oh yeah, well, definitely politically. I mean, I've been a musician around Melbourne for a long time, and ultimately, that's probably what sort of led me here. A lot of the, I would say, 75% of musicians throughout Victoria are probably Greens voters. So,
Ba-bow.
yeah,
I'm
it sort
disappointed
of
in
just
my own kind of people.
slowly drives you to
Sanity.
become more and more political when you're seen as almost the enemy.
Yeah, there you go. Labor, 55 seats now.
Oh, it's about the same. We'll actually see what the ABC is saying. Victorian election result shows Labor landslide with big swings in Melbourne.
55 seats is a big landslide considering.
Is that
45
person
to
there
48
doing a
was expected.
Nazi salute?
Oh, wait, I've got to bring him up on this.
Have a look at the guy back there. He's doing a Nazi salute behind the
I think he's just
Front
wanting a
guy.
high
No,
five from
that's
his
that's
imaginary friends.
that's the solidarity. Yeah, that's what.
Oh no, I'm talking about the guy behind.
Behind
the
him, he's
front
got
man.
the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it like low here, but he's doing that. But I don't want that low.
It's such a dangerous thing to do.
I think he's going for the high five.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm trying to high five Daniel Andrews, who just doesn't care about him.
So we'll just see if we've got any upper house results, regions. Oh, we are getting some.
Alright.
Well, go Southern Metropolitan.
Yeah, but we're are we getting anything from Southern Metropolitan? We've got one booth.
What's going on in
Australian
Southeastern?
Liberty Alliance.
I wanna
Two votes.
So where are we there? Australian Liberty Alliance.
2 votes.
2 votes. 1 point.
Well, this is out of 50.
Laters.
50. So 1.5%. So well.
I actually know people who voted for the ALA. I do.
126 votes so far. So it works out to.
Yeah, 1.59%, as said there.
Mm.
Obviously, too early to make any assessments. Well, in terms of Avi Yemeni's star power, because he did have 180,000 ish.
Avi Yemeni has
And he's
great
got-
views, great subs. He does well.
He definitely does. But what is sort of like a magic number in terms of a percentage that you could say it translates to votes? Because small parties are always going to have, 1-2% anyway. Is if he was able to get, say, 3 or 4, would that be seen as a win, or would if he doesn't get elected, is it not like?
Avi's very realistic. When I spoke to him a few months ago, he sort of alluded to the fact that he was running, but that he didn't expect to actually get a seat, but that he was hopeful for it. So he's realistic. I think it's just about
Banking
getting
on
on the
preference
horse and
votes and things like
yeah,
that,
it's about getting on the horse and trying again every single time until yeah.
I think it would work. I think the upper house works through. There's 40 seats, 8 regions, and there's 5 seats per region. I think that works against him. I think if it was a statewide type thing, I think there would be a better chance for him to get a seat.
Yeah.
But I think that's an interesting seat. What northern was it? Northern Metro?
Yeah, I was just looking at that now because
let's
that's
have
that.
a look at Northern Metro.
So Vote One local jobs, they're doing well with the donkey vote. Nearly. Oh, hang on, I've got to bring it up here. 2%.
I'm gonna move this can.
Yeah. And then we've got the Aussie Battler Party on 1.5%.
Well, let's see.
Shout out to Stuart O'Neill.
Let's scroll down to see the socialist vote.
Reason Party 1.5%, Voluntary Euthanasia Party 1.5%.
This is funny.
The Democratic Labour Party 7%. Wow.
I'm laughing about Victorian Socialists.
Oh, Victorian
versus Transport
Socialist
Matters.
One
And it was
vote.
Stephen Jolly. He voted for himself.
Transport Matters got more votes than the Victorian Socialists.
They've counted 202 votes.
Let's 0.04% of the vote. Let's be safe
The
here.
taxi drivers are beating the socialists.
I was at
Is
a,
that really surprising?
I was at a family lunch, and one of my cousins is located in Northern Metro. He did vote Stephen Jolly. He told me. So I expect that percentage vote to come up. I think it'll be probably around 2%.
Yeah.
Especially being that inner city north that it tends to lean green anyway.
We've got a lot more in the northern Victoria region. Let's have a look at that. So let's have a look here. Oh, look at that donkey vote. 1.73% for the Voluntary Euthanasia Party. A lot of rural
if people
people.
want to go, they can go, all right? Maybe other than that.
People don't like it out in the country, it seems. Darren Hinch's Justice Party, they're doing well. They've got 3.6%. Animal Justice, 1.39%. Greens, only 4%. Shooters, fishers and farmers, 11%.
Yeah, well, it is. Is
Safe to
this
say
is
that they
rural,
will.
yeah?
Yeah.
that'll be
Liberal Democrats, 3.6%. Australian Country Party, 2.34%.
Well, looking at the quota there, it looks like Liberals will probably pick up 3 of the 5 seats. Labor 1, and the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party should get the 5th seat.
Let's have a look at Eastern Victoria. Animal Justice Party, the donkey vote, 2.37%. And we've got the Liberal Democrats on 4.26%. That's pretty good. Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party on 8%.
That's not bad.
Australian Greens on 4.6%. Labor on 25.93%, and Liberals and the Nationals on 41.55%.
So again, yeah, with the quota, it'd go 2 for the Liberals, 2 for Labor, and probably Shooters,
But
Fishers.
we should keep in mind that,
It's very early on,
yeah,
very early.
200.
So they used to be all about sex, and then they just changed to being reasonable.
So sex is reasonable.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, just having a bunch of different penises inside you at one time is reasonable.
The voice of reason. That's their
Well,
slogan.
that's not
this
reasonable
campaign.
for me because I don't like that kind of stuff.
The voice of
hurts.
reason. What was what did you say, Tim?
That's their slogan, the voice of reason.
I would highly, highly object to that.
The penis of reason or something, isn't there?
Yeah. Well, I only have one rule now, which is keep it PG rated.
Okay.
I agree.
I trust
Logan.
Yeah, Logan.
Logan, you're embarrassing your girlfriend.
What girlfriend?
So why don't we?
Oh.
Totally blew my.
You're a mean one.
So we're still, as we can, we might just have a look at the primary vote, because as you can see, Labor on 44% of the primary vote, a 6% swing. Liberal Party a 6% swing, 6.5% swing away. Greens a swing away from them. Nationals a slight swing away from them, and the others up 2%.
Well, yeah, they're not even coming from. Oh, the Greens are down with being. Well, it just shows that the disillusion of the Liberal Party are going through here. As I said earlier, Matthew Guy clearly is just some guy, and we're going to need strong leadership coming through in the next 4 years. I don't know if maybe a federal member comes down to try and help. I don't know. But,
Have they got anyone? Yeah, like I was racking my brains before to see who could lead the Liberal Party now. I just see, like, nobody, like no star candidate. There's Tim Smith,
Kirralie Smith.
She's in New South Wales and she's with Australian Conservatives.
I know.
Do you want her to come and rescue Victoria?
I reckon
Smith's
she'd be
chips.
Well, it's just an idea.
Yeah, well,
I like to do
Sydney lady, New South Wales girl.
I keep them up there.
Ooh, political posting mama.
Marika Rancy.
Yes,
Well,
she would be fantastic for Australia. Well,
Well, she's been helping out with the Liberal campaign.
Yes, I know.
Out in the southeast.
Yes, we were speaking on the phone the other day. I think she would be fabulous. But you know what? She has the wrong politics, so because she's the wrong kind of woman, people won't want to vote for her.
Yes, well, she experiences a lot of harassment.
The haters are strong, aren't they?
And there was also her page was asked to have political authorization of it because she posted things with...
Yeah, convenient. Convenient that would randomly happen.
But this is because I might just explain this while we're filling in time. There, in the internet age, if you're like advocating for a vote online, you have to have an authorization on it.
No, I understand that. I get that.
Yeah, which I wonder if Neil Erickson got a thing from the VEC.
Who knows? He might say something now.
Just wait.
Just wait.
But yeah, it's even like Facebook pages and Twitter accounts, they have to be authorized by the by political parties.
Oh wow.
Could you see somebody like if it got bad enough? Could you see somebody like a Jeff Kennett come back for one term?
Jeff Kennett is in his 70s now.
Yeah, I know. But could it be a help us out type scenario?
The elder statesman.
Yeah.
No.
The name recognition he could call on beyond his work in.
Well, he did come back to Hawthorn when they were struggling. So, but yeah, coming back to politics is something completely different.
And I couldn't see a Napthine or Bailey want to come back, but.
Robert Doyle. Well, we know what happened to him with
that's the thing. There's no real new wave sort of coming through. And especially with all the swings against them, there's going to be no new face that could be, if the Liberals got 40, 42 seats, there could be a new name that got elected and they could be seen as the next generation, the way they're trying to brand Scott Morrison. But it just doesn't look like when you're losing 10 seats that's going to happen.
Yeah, we're now just, this is the night where we're getting into the waiting game because we know that Labor is going to win. We're actually waiting on the results for the upper house. That's what we're really keen at. And if I go to the ABC, I won't bring it up on screen yet because it's not.
Wow.
Go to. Yeah, they won't calculate preferences, the ABC, until 5% of the vote has been counted.
And that won't happen for, what time is it now?
It's only 8 o'clock.
We have 25 viewers on YouTube as opposed to like the 10 we have on Facebook, so that's kind of good.
Sorry?
The YouTube surpassed the views.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just thought I'd let everyone know. You're great YouTubers. Or YouTube watchers.
Yeah. Well, we have Morgan to thank for it, his videos.
He's fantastic.
Thank you, Morgan.
Thanks, Morgan.
Now, your channel, dear, you're nearly at, well, both on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, I'm on 806 subscribers on YouTube, and I'm on about 926 followers on Facebook. So that's, it's alright.
We should maybe, this might get a bit controversial, but Logan and Dee, you're both Unshackled contributors, but we're still...
I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. But we're still on good terms.
I love you very much, Tim.
Yeah. But
give me a hug.
Do I have to be here to broker the peace treaty?
Love.
But it was, we just came, all of us came to the conclusion that it'd be better if you two just stayed on your own channels.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Tim.
I'm not a bitter person.
How you rejected
I get hatred all the time. I don't ever hate on anyone else that hates on me, but I'm a happy girl. I'm a happy girl.
I hate you, dear.
Sometimes I'm not completely on the ball about everything, but I'm a happy girl. I like to research things.
Yeah, I didn't do a Donald Trump to you both. Dear, you're fired.
Yeah.
Logan, you're fired.
That's right. Yeah, and then I come back at you with a book. A tell-all book.
Tell-all book, dish the dirt on me.
Dish the dirt on Tim.
Oh.
He's such a nice guy. There's not much to dish to dirt. dirt to dish, not dish.
Well, you poured the dirt on yourself.
The 8-page book.
Yeah, I poured milk. I poured milk on myself. He poured dirt on himself, and they were great videos.
They were
As in,
amazing.
I got over 300 views on one of them. That was not bad for me.
I'm gonna turn my flash off.
Alrighty, I'm going to swap out with Magnus. Lorad Media on YouTube, Facebook, all of that good stuff.
Thanks
yeah.
for joining us, George.
See you later.
See ya. Thanks for that'd
be such a cool cover photo. I've literally taken a selfie of the screen.
Magnus, welcome back.
Thanks.
Yes, I saw you drinking back there.
Yeah, I was drinking pretty heavily.
Yeah, drinking to relax or drinking to drown sorrows?
Well, both. Yeah.
Drowning sorrows about
You've
the
been
election.
keeping up with the result?
No, I've just been drinking. Yeah.
No.
No, of course. Yeah. I've been
I don't even know what they're saying.
keeping up with the result. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh dear.
well, let's bring it
They
up.
called your name.
Oh, shut up.
So ALP 56 seats, LNP 18 seats.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that because it's been
Wow.
in the news. That,
Someone just asked who is Magnus. The guy that just sat down, the guy that they just said was about to sit down.
Reintroduce yourself, Magnus. Who are you?
I'm Magnus. I'm a free speech activist and I'm an objectivist,
should show
which
Magnus.
is like a right.
Yeah.
Which is a libertarian that advocates the philosophy of Ayn Rand, which is quite rare in America and even more rare in Australia, actually. Even though Ayn Rand's book Atlas Shrugged is apparently it was voted top of a survey of the Library of Congress as the best books in America. It was interesting actually because Atlas Shrugged won the best of the People's Choice, but James Joyce's Ulysses, this stream of consciousness avant-garde claptrap, won the best of the literary experts, their choice. Anyway, objectivism is a rare philosophy in Australia, so I'm sort of quite lonely, but yeah.
Logan getting plenty of mementos for tonight.
Yes.
Now, I've dug up some, or let's say, how's the word to say? I've mentioned some unpleasant things in front of Dia and Logan, but you were going to organise another free speech rally next weekend, reject Antifa violence, but it was just cancelled today. So do you want to take this opportunity to just explain what happened? Because a lot of people were excited about it. It's an important issue because, as we've mentioned, Antifa is out of control in this state.
Yeah, Antifa is out of control. We cancelled it because we didn't get the speakers that we wanted to get. We didn't have enough of the speakers that we wanted to...
Antifa shouldn't matter.
Pardon?
You said Antifa is out of control.
Yeah.
Antifa lives don't matter.
No,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
Out of control. Like,
They're lawless.
They've protested all the things that
No,
we've
I
been
know,
to.
but you should still go ahead and do it. Otherwise, you're giving them power.
Well...
What do you mean?
Well...
Sorry, I didn't let you finish.
No, that's all right. We didn't get enough of the speakers that we wanted, and we wanted a libertarian face to this. And so no one knows who we are, and pardon me, the idea of us protesting and surrounded by people with which I disagree, and just Antifa there and a big mess going ahead, that just would not look good, I don't think, for me. And so yeah, I decided to cancel it because I couldn't present a sufficiently well-known libertarian face to it, because we had another rally back in February. And there we had plenty of professional libertarian representation.
That's
so that was
good.
good. So yeah, look, ultimately I just I want to fight Antifa, as I said, but I want to do it in the best way possible for me. So
But there's also, because the libertarian community is very diverse in terms of views, there'd be quite a few libertarians who actually like Antifa, who think they do a good job at stopping fascism in Australia.
yeah, well, I know one such so-called libertarian. Yeah, well, libertarianism is a bit of an eclectic mix, actually. I think generally the broad body of it, pardon me, is like that sort of free market and social freedom, sort of Tea Party-esque movement, that we see in Australia. But there's other, types, like there's the sort of anarcho-capitalism presented by Stefan Molyneux.
I love Stefan Molyneux.
Yeah, and then there's objectivism, of course, by Ayn Rand, which is my chosen philosophy. So yeah, it is a bit of an eclectic mix, and there's libertarians who are a bit more, hedonistic, I suppose, and there's libertarians who are a bit more sort of socially conservative, but nonetheless pro-free market. So yeah.
Yeah. I'll just read out what Lyle Shelton, a former Australian Christian Lobby director and now Australian Conservatives candidate in Queensland. He's written Anthony Green calling big Labor victory in Vic election 2018. Either voters are comfortable with gender fluid cultural Marxism being taught to their kids or simply don't know. Can only think ignorance and apathy in play. If this is not the reason, then Australia is in big trouble.
Well, surprisingly, it surprised me that it seems many people don't know about what Safe Schools is teaching. It seems that many people are ignorant of it, because I know a campaigner who was going around and doing a lot of door knocking, and they said just many people out there just don't know what is being taught, and they're quite surprised when they hear about it. And I thought it was all over the news, but yeah.
There was a new lobby group this election campaign called Coalition Against Unsafe Sexual Education, and they tried to influence the marginal seats by doing letterboxing, putting up billboards, and putting out informational videos. But the difficulty that they had, and they would concede this themselves, is, as you mentioned, people don't know what Safe Schools is. They think they're told it's an anti-bullying program. They believe it.
Yeah, right.
People believe a lot of things that aren't true.
And
people think I'm dating Morgan Monroe, so people believe a lot of things that are untrue.
Wasn't there actually a video, correct me if I'm wrong, where Ros Ward did actually admit that the Safe Schools program was not about helping kids that are being bullied, but rather the sexualization of children?
Yes, I heard that, or something to that effect.
It wasn't about the sexualization of children. It was about teaching gender fluidity or promoting it, or rather sort of sanctioning it.
So it's more propaganda than anything. So it's not don't bully that person. It's let's promote some sort of whack job propaganda on impressionable minds.
Well, there's a girl I know, a mother I know, who told me that her daughter was 10 years old in grade 5, and they were putting condoms on bananas in grade 5, like in an area of this great state, and that is ridiculous. Like, that is exactly what we need to vote against.
And it's funny because, Matthew Guy, again, in the People's Forum, there was a rare moment of sort of fire from him when he said, let kids be kids.
Yeah.
And
what an offensive statement.
And he certainly is, he's not equivocal about it. He certainly is against safe schools and, the gender fluidity program being taught. Or at least I think, it's fair to say he's against it being taught to everyone. Like he mentioned, if, people have, sexuality that is outside the norm, then they can be dealt with separately, rather than just teaching in broad strokes. But again, he didn't really seem to push that as a prime issue in the campaign, which I thought was interesting, and I thought was understandable, because he doesn't want to, it's sort of high risk, high reward. Like, he could go into this culture war, but end up very, very, muddied.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, it's now that Labor has won on a platform of rolling out safe schools to all government schools, you wonder what lesson the Liberals are going to take for that. Are they going to say, we now support safe schools? Is that the lesson they're going to take and just drop it? Because there's...
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Sorry.
Yeah, you go.
Sorry, Tim. I think in a way, this is maybe, to try and put a gloss on an otherwise miserable evening, this is maybe the best thing that could have happened for the Liberals. Because this way they're forced to rethink themselves. They're forced to reflect, rather than a mere perpetuation of the status quo where they get into power and then they sort of hold on. Maybe this stunning victory by Daniel Andrews is a wake-up call to Liberals that they have to find something to believe in, other than merely being Andrews light, if you will. They have to form their own distinct vision and really push for that and fight for their values tooth and nail in the community to achieve the sort of social transformation that the left did. So I think in a way, maybe ultimately in the long run, this is sort of like giving someone a shot to make them, cured in the long run, or to prevent sickness in the long run, really, in a way.
So it's like a vaccine in a way.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Yeah, so I've just seen, because we're focused on the upper house now, so this is South Metro.
Upper house people.
So Liberal, well, they got the donkey vote there, so they've got 37% of the primary vote. Labor, well, this is in South Metro. This is, they're actually ahead now, Labor. That's pretty incredible. Greens on 9%. We have the Reason Party. They've got 2%. That's pretty good. Animal Justice.
The Reason Party. That's so funny to me.
2%. And the Australian Liberty Alliance, Avi Yemeni, well, he's now got 5 votes. 0.53. Now, even though, like, I might just focus on Avi for a moment. Even though, like, he's a polarizing figure in the sort of right wing, nobody can deny that he was a star. I mean,
absolutely.
His page had 180,000 likes.
Yeah, and he's well intentioned in a lot of what he does. Like,
but given like he had that huge following, he got on TV.
He was on Gavin McInnes's show. Get Off My Lawn.
Yeah, like he was able to hold the successful, like some of the biggest rallies that we've seen on the right in Melbourne.
Tommy Robinson, Avi, you did so good.
And like that's well, it's still early days, but looking at that's not good. And so
no, in terms of results, no.
Yeah, and so sort of like, how much more work do we have to do? Like, if he's sort of the top, then sort of where does it leave everyone else?
Well, yeah, I just don't know where the standard is. Like, what is the standard? Like, well, because for the left, the standard keeps changing. For us, the standard has always been what? The shared value of patriotism, taking care of your own, working hard, whereas the left is a little bit more, I want the government to help me with this. I want the government to help me with this. I want the government to help me with this. So it's a sense of reliance that we don't have because we believe in hard work.
Yeah, because they haven't grown up. They haven't got to that stage where they have mentally moved out of their parents' house. Because they want to view the government as a sort of parental figure. And go,
Daddy Trump.
I'm so used to getting my own way with everything. And that's kind of where it's led them into that mentality of, the world owes me everything.
Magnus, you look like you're having a thought there. Do you disagree with what we're saying?
No, I don't disagree. I'm just...
you're just absorbing?
Yeah, and I just think that the Liberals have just betrayed their philosophy so totally.
Yeah.
And that's their problem. They've got to decide, are they a party of freedom or are they not a party of freedom? And I think that's the central issue. And not just freedom of speech.
At the nucleus.
Yeah, I really think so. And it's not just freedom of speech, it's also freedom of the economy. Going federally here, Scott Morrison, for example, the sight of him, a Liberal treasurer, he was then treasurer, coming out and
he's done great.
And attacking.
That's debatable, I suppose.
Yeah, right. Yeah, very debatable. The attacking the banks and saying, like, don't do it, don't raise your prices, because we're taxing you. It's just launching this extraordinary attack on the banks, and Liberals, sort of put up with attack on business and profits and so on and so forth. And they don't do anything about it, and they just buy into all this welfare state policies. Like, to the Liberals, like, what do you expect? Of course this is going to happen eventually. You've got to decide, are you a party of freedom, or do you want to be another welfare state party? And so this is going to keep happening, I think. And even if Liberals win, they're going to be buying into the welfare state philosophy.
Yeah, that's not a safe place to be.
I'm going to interject. I just want to go out for a little bit of a
I need to tinkle.
Yeah, tinkle.
I do.
Okay.
We'll leave you with the intellectuals.
Yeah. Hang on, just before
the
you
trolls
walk
are leaving the
walk
building.
In front, I'll just bring up North.
Oh,
no, Dia, you can walk in front of the camera now. I've got it off.
Yep. Please don't knock that over. Yep.
You go that way, Jack. You go in with...
Tim wants to move to the corner.
Oh, okay.
Left there.
Well, I'll just move
thing to roll into.
So we're looking at North Metro here again now. if I just bring it up here,
Sorry.
so it's still early days. And we can see that the Vote One Local Jobs donkey vote has gone down. The Aussie Battler Party, they're still doing well. And now, of course, the North Metro battle is between Victorian Socialists, Reason Party, and the Liberals.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see. Only 10 votes.
For Victorian Socialists, but they've gone up from before. They were.
I think 1 to 2% seemed probably likely. I think if they were getting 5%, that would be like sound the bells. You know, the end is nigh. The end is nigh. Yeah. 50%.
Yeah, I was told by one of my fellow Unshackled people that you couldn't, in northern Melbourne, you couldn't go past like a street without seeing a Victorian Socialist poster. They were just everywhere. They'd gotten heaps of money from the trade union movement.
Yeah.
They've put in a lot for this, and also Reason had put in a lot of effort as well.
Well, that's what the left does, you know, that sort of community organising sort of, you know, they do that very, very well, you know, ultimately.
Do you think that, I know it's early on here, but the 50 votes, the 7.5% for the Labor DLP.
Democratic Labor Party.
Do you think that could be mistaken votes?
Could be.
To be that
I cannot believe that they were allowed to have as their abbreviation Labor DLP. Like, that is like just blatant trying to steal votes off the Labor Party.
Yeah.
The Liberal Democrats, they've been accused of it for years.
Yeah. But they didn't do anything wrong the last time they were accused of that. Just people confused them because it was like the first time they were.
Liberal Democrats have been around since 2001, and they didn't get anyone elected until 2013.
Right, okay.
It's pretty, like, you know.
But it was like they were first on the ballot position on the ballot paper. Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, you know, anything that gets laying the lion in, I'm all for.
Labor DLP, I remember they had a really, because they've got a U in their name. If you notice later, one of their slogans for an election was putting the U back in Labor.
Right. So they're Labor, but they're intellectual Labor. You know, they're sort of socialists, but they're bourgeois socialists.
Well, they're Catholic socialists.
Oh, right, okay, it's even worse.
Oh no!
Well, no, because the Labor Party and the Liberal Party, once upon a time, the religious alignment of the Protestants and the Liberal Party was something like over 90%, and same with Catholics and Labor. It was something like over 90%. Like, you know, it was very, very, very high chance that if you were a Protestant, you would be voting Liberal, and if you were a Catholic, you'd be voting Labor. That was the tradition. So very much, you know, once upon a time, we had like a religious split in Victoria. So it's interesting seeing how that's all, you know, completely shattered as, you know, as sort of...
Well, at the most recent census data, the biggest growing religion is no religion at all.
Right.
Do you think that could be a big factor of why the Liberal vote might struggle in the next sort of 10 years as they try to sort of rebrand to sort of grab disillusioned sort of atheist voters from the left?
It depends on what... you'd have to look at what... I mean, it might play a part. It depends on what those irreligious voters are voting for, because maybe they're just 50-50 Labor or Liberal. But I do think it's probably had a part because, you know, those traditional sort of cultural values that the Liberals have campaigned on in the past are sort of, you know, losing away. They're sort of being eroded. And so the left is, you know, taking over because of that. Even though I think that, you know, I mean, I'm an atheist, and I don't think that if you're an atheist, that automatically leads to being a leftist.
I think though, actually, I'm an atheist as well. But I think we're finding a lot of people sort of do need direction, and I think a lot of atheists are falling down that path.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think maybe it's just that Scientology didn't find them first, but you know.
But I mean, that's the idea, to get very deep, probably too deep for, you know, the arse end of a Victorian election live stream.
Yeah, of course.
But the whole question is, can you have an objective morality without religion? And I think the left's cultural ethos is a replacement for religion in many respects.
I've just been having a look at some of the headlines. So this is news.com.au, Liberal bloodbath. Shock as Labor wipes out Victorian election.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a fair comment.
Well, in the US elections, they were talking about the blue wave. At some point, it was the blue tsunami. It was a bit more of a ripple or wave, however you want to put it. But this was definitely a red wave here.
Well, yeah, like a red blood.
Yeah, it's from our perspective, definitely.
Well, it's a blue bloodbath.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So the age actually on the money.
What?
There we
No,
go.
that was news.com.au.
okay.
That's News Corp. Well, they're sort of the lefty News Corp publication.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's driving? Like, what's the main reason for this bloodbath? Do we reckon? Like, what of Daniel Andrews' policies, or what of Matthew Guy's flaws has done this?
I think we've discussed this on our show, that the noticeable change of the train stations, I think, is a huge factor. A lot of people I've spoken to, but look at the train stations.
Yeah. Like, where we are, there's a train station which did have a level crossing, and it's even busy without the level crossing removed. And I'm just sort of like, I can't imagine what this would have been like if the level crossing was still there.
Yeah.
So I think that noticeable change. A lot of people complain that government doesn't really do anything. Like, what have they done for me?
Yeah.
And that's something that people can see.
Yeah.
We can complain about $1 billion being spent on absolutely nothing for a road that was never built, but $1 billion is such a large number in people's minds. It's just a statistic.
Yeah.
And that $1 billion, governments waste money all the time.
Yeah.
But look at the train stations. At least they're being built, and I think that's the story of this election.
It's funny because just talking about governments waste money all the time. It's just another trivial point for me. But I remember during the radio debate, so I think they were talking about the money that was being raised. I don't think for the mental health Royal Commission, but rather the safe injecting room. I think it was something like that. And Daniel Andrews said something like, "Well, it's only going to cost 16 million." And then I think he sort of hesitated and sort of shifted uncomfortably because he realised the absurdity of that. And that's I mentioned this to you. What Joe Hockey said once when he was in debate. I think it was with Lindsay Tanner, but I'm not sure. Way long ago, in the olden days on Q&A, when I was still watching it, and the Labor spokesperson said something like, "It's only 3 billion or it's only 2 billion," and Joe Hockey said, "What sort of mentality is this? It's only that amount of money. It's a huge amount of money." And that was originally, I think, the big split, but between Labor and Liberal, spend a lot or cut back, save, put the money back into, put the budget back into surplus. But again, it's being eroded so much. I end up on the same miserable end. I'm sorry, guys.
So apparently on Twitter, they're calling this landslide election victory a Dan-slide.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So that'll probably be on the papers tomorrow.
I think, with 55 seats, a 12-year Daniel Andrews leadership could actually be quite probable now. 57, looking at the projections.
Wow.
Yeah, let's bring that up.
Wow. That is incredible.
I mean, this is...
This is our Young Turks moment.
This is because we look at all the polling. A lot of the polling suggested that silent voters would be voting for the Liberals, not for Labor. So this is a huge surprise. What's 20 votes, 20 for? Yeah, I mean, there's no way Matthew Guy survives this as Liberal leader. I don't know who's the shadow treasurer. I guess I'm assuming they would.
It's O'Brien, is it not?
Michael O'Brien.
Michael O'Brien.
So, I assume he will probably take the reins unless there's someone else. But that's a huge surprise.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone. We're not surprised that Labor are retaining power, but this is it. The size of the win is a complete shock to me. Yeah. Especially with all the, I did a hell of a lot of analysis. I thought 47, 48 seats tops. But I think most people did anyway.
Again, I really do think that maybe this is probably going to be ultimately in the long run the best thing that ever happened to the Liberals in a way.
Now, I've seen this argument that you need from Conservatives that you need to vote the Liberals out so they have a term in opposition to sort themselves out. But I think that's quite wishful thinking. How do you know that they're going to get their act together? How do you know they're not going to take the right lessons?
Well, you don't know, but it's certainly more conducive, I think, to that rather than them being in power and just sort of obsessing about keeping power and all of that.
I always prefer the least worst option. I remember in 2014, I warned Conservatives saying that you shouldn't turf out the Libs because even though they've been pretty mediocre, they're still way better than Daniel Andrews and Labor. And long and behold, 4 years later, we've had 4 years of Labor government and look at the state Victoria's in. I mean, is it really right to condemn the people of a state to 4 years of a really bad government in the hope that the other side gets there? I mean, that's just too risky. I mean, it's people's lives, people's livelihoods at risk.
I'm not necessarily saying that what people should vote for. I'm just saying what the effect will be. And I just think that in the long term, this will hopefully be the kick up the arse that the Liberals need, really, in the end. I'm not really saying that, you should deliberately try and bring it about. It seems, but when it does happen, the Liberals need to take notice,
Well,
and sorry, Jack, there was certainly the point that Peter Hitchens raised, I think, when he was talking about the Tory election back in, I think, 2010. And then he was telling the Conservatives that he knew, don't vote Conservative because we need to tell them that they're not happy. I mean, going into it with a deliberate thing is difficult because then who do you vote for and how did, I mean, look, I don't know. I just, again, I'm not saying that, we should necessarily deliberately try and bring it about, but I do think that hopefully it'll be the effect of it.
Do you think a possibility, even though most people are able to tell the difference between state and federal, do you think what's happened federally with Malcolm Turnbull, and I think even Abbott would have been replaced since last election as well, since the last state election, could voters be responding to that as well?
I still think, I said this earlier, that state and federal issues are separate.
They are, but this is a swing that I don't think anyone could have really projected. So maybe this is something of a different, where just people are so disillusioned with Liberal federally, they want to send a message through the state.
Yeah, I mean, the federal Liberals have been a shambles for the past year, and I don't think that Scott Morrison has been a good Prime Minister so far. He's got no policies. He's just got a bus that he gets on during the day, then flies to the next town, and then the bus catches up with him.
Do you prefer him to Malcolm Turnbull?
Malcolm Turnbull, I believe, and I will get, I think, a lot of criticism from our viewers from this, but I think he should have stayed. I mean, it was crazy to change leaders again, have a third Prime Minister in 2 terms, and plus the Conservatives, they got a lot out of Turnbull. The National Energy Guarantee was something that, Malcolm Turnbull, it was very watered down from what he would have really liked. Malcolm Turnbull kept his word on the same-sex marriage postal survey. Let's not forget there was the small business tax cuts that he got through with Scott Morrison. It's there's no energy policy at the moment. There's these thought bubbles, like they're moving the embassy in Israel. And then there was this week on immigration saying, oh, we might look at cutting it. I don't know. You'll have to look for the budget. I mean, what sort of decisive action is that?
And it's completely reactive. Like, I mean, all he's doing, it's just, in a way, it's almost bad, because it just shows him he's reacting to this, popular sentiment out there, that we need to cut immigration, which I think is, personally, I think is ridiculous. But, I mean, he's... we've got to...
I'm checking the YouTube comments.
But it just shows them that he's, he's completely reactive. And I think another part of this is the fact that, that whole controversy on Twitter, how he, took that post down, that, that song or whatever it is, because he got the backlash. He just wants to be liked, and I don't know why people are even, again, I think the main reason why people don't like this knifing stuff is because it just never seems to change as a result, and that's it. It just seems to be a vanity fest. It just seems to be a popularity contest or a faction contest. People wouldn't mind if, there was a knifing that actually ended up with a good result. I think that if someone came out with a radically good plan to change things, to end, this ideological turmoil and schism in the Liberal Party, if someone was able to do that, I don't think people would mind about the fact that it's knifing. In fact, people would say, good on you, let's get this done.
Well, I think the fact that we haven't had a Prime Minister who's served a full term since John Howard, I think that, knifing a leader like Bob Hawke was deposed after 8.5 years after he'd won 4 elections. There was the it's time factor. He was old and stale. Paul Keating was a fresh face, and he won the next election with an increased majority. So there's the knifing as to basically when someone's had their day as Prime Minister, move them on when they've only been in the job 2 to 3 years, getting rid of them when they haven't even had the chance to defend their record.
Well, the argument could be made for that, couldn't it? Because Julia Gillard coming in, it was a hung parliament, but the argument they could probably make was Abbott would have won if she didn't come in. You could probably say the same for, maybe they'd make the same argument for Abbott, him getting axed. They would have lost if not for Turnbull coming in. These are sliding door moments we won't know, but I don't know if Dutton had come in that things would be better. But
he's just a dud.
Yeah.
Do we want to?
I think we should look at some of the results.
If I bring it up.
Yep.
So it hasn't changed much. Well, there's 39% of the vote counted, ALP on 57. That's a thumping majority. LNP 21%. Now it's still gonna be a long night because we still haven't got any idea of how the upper house seats are going to go, and that is going to be key whether Andrews can get a double majority, which in terms for Labor, if Labor and the Greens can get a working majority in the upper house, then they can basically do whatever they want. Despite Labor and the Greens tearing each other apart during the campaign, they'll work together anyway. And if he doesn't have to deal with these micro parties, he'll be elected. Then sky's the limit for him.
I discussed earlier the possibility of after They Day last month that compelled speech could come through for gender pronouns. That would be very likely if they are able to get the upper house.
Tasmania, Labor voted for that birth certificate bill.
Has that passed, or is it just a proposed?
It's passed the Legislative Assembly there, so it's got to go before the Legislative Council, but it passed with Labor, Green and a rogue Liberal support.
Well, that rogue Liberal is...
Well, Daniel Andrews in his previous term, he tried to pass where you could change the gender on your birth certificate every 6 months to male, female, or whatever.
Well, I think it's Australian law is the third gender is technically indeterminate, but that's such a small. If we're going to go to actual science, it's such a small like. 0.00001%, but everyone wants to feel special these days. I guess in the age of social media and everything, that you've got to have your own gender too and your own pronouns.
We might just have a look at see if any we've got any more upper house results. Logan is back here, so.
I'll trade out again.
Oh, no, you can stay here.
I'll jump through.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good being on this side.
We've
I've been looking like one way. My neck was starting to... There we go.
got to get everyone in.
So you want me to move?
Yeah, just move.
around.
Yeah. Okay, so... I just did. Don't boss me around, dear.
All good. All good.
So we've only got 4 spots here, so we're rotating. Everyone's having a break now and then because we don't have ad breaks yet on the Unshackled, so we just keep going and going and going. In the second half of this live stream, we've got Maddie Roses and David Hiscock from XYZ. They're coming in, so there's going to be a bit of the so-called opponents coming together.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear their take because they're definitely right wingers as well, and yeah, we'll see where they stand. So stick around.
You mean your media rivals, do you, Tim?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We get along well.
It's just, you know, when you're bashing each other up in the streets, it's not a good look.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just why we doubt you when you say that, Tim.
got a rival on
bashing of
Chief
the
or something.
Yeah. Right.
Tim's a bodybuilder.
There's enough punching right as there is.
Punch a Nazi.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean that like Antifa should be punching themselves because they're being funded by George Soros? So
Well, like the socialists and the Greens, I mean, they do a pretty good job at turning on each other. I mean, look at the Greens turn on themselves this campaign, and Stephen Jolly. It's pretty amazing that he was able to get together all these socialist groups to form Victorian socialists, because a lot of them don't form political parties because it's bourgeois.
Should we see their vote again? Just see how they're
Yeah,
traveling.
We'll go Northern Metropolitan.
Yeah.
So that's
If I hang on, I got too many. So there we are. So we've got the donkey vote for Vote One local jobs has gone down. Aussie Battler Party still doing their 1.87. Reason Party 4%. Which is pretty good. I mean, there was a lot of people saying like their change from Sex Party to Reason Party was a big risk, but looks good there. Victorian Socialists, they've gone up to 3.36%. Labor DLP has now gone down to 3.66.
So yeah, as more votes have come through, less voting for that. So maybe a wave of supporters all came together and just walked into the booth at once.
Yeah.
That probably seems more likely than accidental Labor votes, which looked likely.
I'll just check
on.
if you guys want to keep talking. I'll see if the calculators have come through. So
yeah.
What do we think? Do we think that's...
Oh.
What's that? Do we think that...
Okay, so we've got
no,
Northern Victoria Upper House. So we've got, on the current projections, 1 Liberal, 1 Labor, 1 National, 1 Liberal Democrats, and 1 Darren Hinch's Justice Party. Is that all? So if we have a look at that, Liberal Democrat...
We got to take any win we can.
Well,
the socialists do not have a seat.
Because the rural votes have started first, but yeah. Yep. Liberal Democrats, they've got obviously David Linehelm in the Senate. They've got Aaron Stonehouse in WA Parliament. If they can get someone in Victoria, then because David Linehelm will lose his seat when it's a full quota Senate election, that's a good result for them.
Can we look at the Western Victoria electorate? Because
no,
not up yet.
No.
Eastern Metropolitan.
Southeastern?
No. Oh, we've looked at... No. Or Eastern Victoria, we'll get to look at it soon.
So in summary at the moment.
But yeah, this is the exciting part of the night, the upper house.
Yeah. But no, I'm disappointed.
Okay, so it's just past 9 o'clock now. So we might end part 1 of the live stream. So it's been great. We've been going for 3 hours. Been going for a long time. So thank you.
Unlike Hillary, we actually have the stamina.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you, Magnus.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Dia over there.
Thank you.
And thank you to everyone who watched on Matthew Guy's conceding now.
So yeah, during the break between part 1 and 2, switch over, see that speech, and
I'm just playing it on the loudspeaker now.
oh, okay.
To bring the volume up a bit more.
Oh.
Is that me? That's not volume.
It's not working?
Bring the, oh, you got the volume on YouTube down a bit.
In no way detract from
That's a
the
bit
result
better,
that
but
our
put it up
opponents
full
have had
blast.
tonight. In the Liberal Party, in the last not just few weeks, but indeed the last few years, we have campaigned on issues that we believe are important and of the most importance to Victorians. Keeping Victorians safe, lowering their cost of living, easing the congestion in places like particularly the eastern suburbs.
You've just turned the volume all the way down. Tim, you just turned the volume all the way down on YouTube.
Oh.
Our party. However, as I said, there are a number of our members who have not been re-elected tonight. I want to offer my sincere commiserations to them, to their campaign teams, to their families, to those candidates who haven't been successful tonight. I want to, ladies and gentlemen, thank, if I can, the campaign staff at the State Secretariat, led by Nick Demiris. Our campaign staff was young, enthusiastic, and it has done an incredible job under what we see now as trying circumstances. I want to acknowledge my own staff, and not many people do that, but I want to acknowledge my staff led by Scott Pearce for the work they have done. Pearce is going to get some sleep because he's going to need it, poor guy. I want to thank all of them for the work my staff have done for 4 years.
Okay, we'll break for the time being, so thank you everyone for watching, and we'll be back for the second half with the XYZ crew shortly.
This has been an Unshackled live stream. View all our previous live events at theunshackled.net/livestreams. While you're here, grab our free ebook at theunshackled.battlefield.net and keep checking out theunshackled.net for all the latest news and commentary.